Welcome back to Pixels and Pints for a currently fortnightly. We've been pretty good at sticking to the fortnightly. Fortnightly talk about pop culture and craft beers, mostly from Australia. I do have one American one today. I think it's American.
That's all right.
Yes.
We're picking up a shitload of American listeners at the moment, so relatable and stuff.
Okay, I will have to check. I've just make sure that I picked up the right one that I meant to pick up. So I am Dan. I'm here with Pete.
Hi.
And Tom.
G'day.
And we're just going to jump straight into the beers or straight into...
Let's
start with some beer.
Yep. What do you got?
There's been no fucking news, so we're going to skip that. Last 2 weeks has just been quiet.
All quiet on the Western Front. Nothing coming in on the old telegram.
Other than, what's her name? Black Widow settled with Disney.
I did see that, and she did say that she hopes to looks to work with them in the future. So,
well, of course she'd say that. They own fucking half of everything now. Like, you really do shoot yourself in the foot if you try and fuck with them. The big mouse man.
Especially because they own Fox and everything like that too. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the beers? What's the beers on the list?
So I panicked and grabbed the first thing that was in the fridge, but it is the brand new batch beer. I will say I do work for them, but I have had nothing to do with making this beer. This is their new batch Easy XPA. It's got fun colours. It's replaced their Hazy Pale as my new go-to batch beer. I have been smashing this. I think it came out last week, and in that week I've easily drunk 12 of them. It's just goes
what
down
colour's
super
the can of that one?
It's black, and the batch logo is a mix of green, yellow, orange, and red. Just like a smattering of colours. It's a very easy drinking XPA. Simcoe, Citra, and Equinot are the hops. So you get heaps of stone fruit, bit of citrus, a little bit of pine in there, and they say it goes down easy, and it bloody well goes down easy, all right. I had one when I finished my shift the other day, and before I realised I was pouring my third, it just glides down the old throat.
That's
no, Peter.
She said.
No. Sis.
I fought it. I lost.
There was the pause for effect there. So.
What are you drinking, Dan?
I am drinking Stockade Brewing's Wasabi Sumo Double IPA. This is the one where I didn't realise it was 9% when I bought it, because I would probably never buy a 9% willingly. It's just, it doesn't usually sit well with me. But I've poured it now, and I'm going to drink it. So I didn't read the details on the can before I poured it. That's not going to come out very well. I didn't read the description on the can before I poured it, as well as not reading the alcohol, and got a smell of it, and it was like really herbal. I expected there's probably was going to be wasabi in it, and it's really herbal and vegetal, and with like a background of ginger character in there. So I took a mouthful of it, and it does taste like wasabi, like not overpowering. And there seems to be like a good sort of resiny, piney hop character to it, and it finished off with the ginger as well. So I thought I probably should read what was in it, and that is basically exactly what it says on the can. That it has a piney resin followed. It's not hot wasabi. It says finishes you off with a hot burning wasabi and ginger. So they definitely hit the brief on that one. So it's
you nailed
it. It's okay. It's a bit of a weird combination of flavours, I do have to say. But it hides the 9% fairly well. So we'll wait and see what sort of flavours develop in it once it warms up a little bit too. It should be quite layered and complex. So let's see what happens.
Depends on how much ginger's in there, because that can be quite throat burn, spicy. Obviously soaking the wasabi.
Yeah, I mean there's a little bit of sort of spice heat there. But none of that wasabi sort of horseradishy up through your nasal passages. Yep. But that you definitely do get that vegetal character from the wasabi side of it as well. So Tastes like wasabi peas. Wasabi peas in a
Oh,
beer.
yeah. Looks like a sour. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably not quite as sort of red pinkish as it's coming out on the camera.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of a deep golden orange with some pink tinges to it. But it's definitely not quite as pink as what it's coming out on the camera there.
Yeah, right. So for my first beer, I went for something a little light. Moondog's All Killer No Filler, which is, I mean, I've had it in the fridge for a while now. I think I've probably had it before. It's the first time I've had it on the show. It's a hazy vanilla pale ale, and at 5%. I mean, it's a pale. It is a little hazy. It's obviously not got too many hazy proteins in it, but you do get the vanilla hit. So it's quite a simple pale base. It's exactly what you'd expect. Not too powerful in terms of the hop hit, but you do get a really strong vanilla flavor all the way through. It's quite easy to. Oh, almost said that. I haven't said that for 3 fucking seasons.
That was close. Jeez, you tiptoed around that one, didn't you?
Pulled himself up right at the line.
It's a little stronger than it's got a little bit more punch in terms of flavor profile than a table beer, but it's a good opener for an either drinking. It's a lawnmower beer. There you go. It's a lawnmower beer with some nice flavor through it.
Yeah,
I've got a non-alcoholic pale ale, so I think I might go and get that after this to see what it's like.
Okay.
Because I think my 9% can then be watered down to 4.5%.
Two openers. Yeah, clever.
Can see how that works.
Very good.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
So
just
when you said there was no news, when did we got bombarded with that week full of trailers just before the last
spoke about
one,
Smashed.
wasn't it? Yeah,
we got smashed by trailers, and then I got smashed by copyright claims on our YouTube video, which all went away as they should. Stupid content ID system automatically identifying content and just claiming it, including a Polish company who obviously distribute Star Wars content in Poland, but because our trailers in our videos are silent, they've just got this catch-all net that says anything that doesn't have a language associated with it, we're going to assume it's in Poland and we've got the rights, so we're just going to claim everything on the internet.
Yeah, wow.
Super
Someone's clearly bored.
Douche bags. But yeah, anyway, what I was going to say is, did either of you guys go back and listen or watch the last episode to determine how many episodes I promised I would not name the game that shall be not named?
No.
It was 4. It was exactly what I said. I actually rewound the tape to double check. It was 4. This is the 4th, and we'll go down to the 3rd next episode, and then the 2nd, and hopefully by then the DLC will be out.
Oh, right. I've completely forgot what we were talking about. Don't remember
DLC?
that conversation. Yeah.
There's another. I mean, they've got 2 years of development for that game. So
Really?
yeah,
Yeah, I remember them saying
So they're actively developing. There's a season 2 season pass, if you like.
Wow. Okay.
So
I still haven't finished the main game, and I don't think I'm going to.
From my perspective, I'm fairly certain it's designed just to tie them over until they can release their AC Unlimited, which never ends, that Tom mentioned. I haven't read anything about that, but
this is the assassin that never ends, and it goes on. Yeah, that's the theme song for it.
So anyway, yeah, that was just a random sideways tangent.
Yep.
Star Wars Visions. Have you guys seen all the episodes?
Oh, have I
Definitely
ever?
have.
I wanted to talk about that because I'd gotten through the 9. I actually watched the last one this morning while I was eating my Wheaties. It's a perfect
Eating your
time for
fucking
cartoons.
Wheaties.
It's the
Good.
best.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, Peter.
You're definitely talking about Wheat Bix there. You're not talking about the American Wheaties, are you?
No, I'm not going to pay $5 for a 30-gram bag just to have it imported from the US. No.
Wheaties always makes me think of Rob Zombie. They must be in like House of a Thousand Corpses or a Rob Zombie movie for some reason. It just fucking it always makes me think of Rob Zombie.
Okay.
Or just
random.
when you crunch them, it sounds like the crunching of zombie bones.
Maybe
That's it. Maybe that's it.
That's definitely.
So what do we think?
I fucking loved it. I've been getting more and more into like anime style, like especially like Western anime. But this is like this is true anime. But like like the Netflix animes, I've been getting really into them over the last couple of months, like with Castlevania and then the Witcher one. But
we never did talk about the Witcher one either. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast.
We briefly I think we briefly.
I think we mentioned it was coming, but we never actually talked about it after the fact.
Let's tack that on to the end of this.
Just the fact that there was so many familiar elements of the Star Wars universe in each episode, but it just had that pure Japanese flair. Like there was so many like things you'd seen, like having watched other series like that are coming from Japanese like production companies, and then seeing those little bits in there, like mannerisms and the way they would do the dialogue and some of the action sequences. It
was so cool to see the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like between the studios and how different they were, and like the little one-shot storylines were cool in themselves, but just stylistically, just how vastly different they all are. So,
yeah, I meant to look up which there were, because there were four of the episodes, that were divided between two studios. So two studios did 2 episodes, and I'm pretty sure that I'll find out which ones they were, but I thought one of them was vastly different in terms of its stylistic like nature.
Was that the black and white, the almost black and white one with the twins?
The Jewel.
Was that the twins?
No, the twins was a separate one. The Jewel was the black and white one. It was the
the digital.
That was a fantastic opening.
That was excellent. I watched that one in Japanese. I haven't gone back and watched it in English yet. Watched it in Japanese without subtitles, so I have no idea what was actually being said, but it was all portrayed obviously very well, and they were able to visually tell the story.
I think that one's the one you don't really need the dialogue for it. It adds to it, but it is an action centerpiece rather than some of the other ones were a bit more story heavy. I felt, yeah.
Is that the one with the umbrella lightsaber?
Umbrella lightsaber, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I had hoped for Ghost of Tsushima, the Kurosawa mode, with just those flecks of color.
Yep.
Just throughout of it. That would be somebody. I guarantee if Ghost ends up on PC, that someone will mod it to have that involved there. But that's exactly what I would have loved to have seen. Just that little flare of color, but beautiful animation style. Great action, well choreographed, really cool.
The artwork really did bring back memories of my childhood, like because a lot of the stuff we watched in the 80s and didn't realize was kind of anime inspired or just raw anime. So it reminded me of things like, not so much Samurai Pizza Cats, but that kind of came to mind. And it's a bit random. I'm sure that's Western, obviously, because it's pizza, but it was certainly anime inspired.
I would
the original
almost say
Astro
that's
Boy,
guaranteed that was animated in America.
The original Astro Boy,
yes,
black and white Astro Boy, and then moving into the color. Even when they westernized it, they really stuck with that art style.
Oh, I mean that episode with the cybernetic boy, that was pure Astro Boy.
Boy, yeah. Even with the doctor.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat surprised, and I don't even know if they're around anymore, but Studio Ghibli, they're a fucking humongous, well, they were a humongous anime studio in Japan, and
they're still about. I just think they may have been, they may have just declined and said, no, it's not our cup of tea.
They do generally tell almost fairy tale stories for kids, so it may not have been the right age bracket for them, the right demographic.
Completely retract my last statement, Pete. I apologise. Samurai Pizza Cats originally aired in Japan on TV Tokyo, February 1st, 1990.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. Just all the harkbacks to our childhood. I mean, even the original Pokemon cartoon is very anime-esque.
The first season of the original Pokemon Series 1 is a lot different in its tone to some of the later series that I think came over here. Like, I think most of us, if you actually go back and watch it, it's a bit hard to watch. There's some, it's some questionable content. Like, just some of the themes you're like, oh, that's a bit, okay.
On the nose?
Yeah. It's not bad, but it's just a tiny bit off.
Okay.
And just, makes you feel a bit like, oh, I just feel a bit uncomfortable watching this.
Children-related stuff, or what?
It's like relationships and Professor Oak and Ash's mum are fucking all over each other and stuff, and it's just this is a kids' cartoon. Come on, can't. So the episodes that were done by the same studios. So talking about like those, like what I was saying about the really different art styles. So the twins, which was like the on the giant double Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
So that
Great
one
idea.
And that one and the Elder, which I thought was the fucking coolest. That was Elder.
Yeah.
The two. So that's the same studio, but completely different art styles.
Yeah.
Just showing the range of those things and the studios. And then the other one was the TOB one, which was the Astro Boy episode. And then the last one, Akakiri. Again, completely different art styles. Like chalk and cheese. I think for myself, the Jewel, obviously, I think was one of the best episodes. Yeah. The Elder again really got me. I really enjoyed the one about the lightsaber smith. I thought that was a really cool idea.
The Ninth Jedi?
Yeah, the Ninth Jedi. And then but just the way they talked about how the lightsabers kind of, it was almost like Harry Potter wand. Like the lightsaber chooses you and then reveals its true nature. And just some little like twists in that. Like I fully expected that robot to be evil with its all like with the red theme, the red eye. It was hulking in black, but then what you thought were actually Jedi were all the Sith, and it was kind of like a very cool little thing. But I absolutely loved it. I can't wait. I really want a season 2.
Yeah. I just enjoyed the little self-contained stories. They just kind of paint a little bit into the edges of the tapestry of the Star Wars universe and talk about the other shit that's been going on. And I love the katana-shaped lightsabers.
Yeah.
Like it's just fucking cool. They need to find a way to work that into the live action stuff.
The way they would actually draw them like proper katanas, and return them to the belt the same way as well. Yeah. Even though they weren't going into hilts or into sheaths.
Well, I don't know if you've
some
seen
of them were, but
some of the what's the new series they got out, the High Republic stuff.
Yep.
So this is all the new books and comics and stuff that's out at the moment. But one of the dudes in that has like a broadsword lightsaber. So it's not quite Kylo Ren's 3-pronged, but it kind of arcs and then the two little lightsabers. Yeah. So they've.
But we've got the dark saber now, which is a very different shape in the live action series. So
that's
who knows?
Yeah, I mean the dark saber's been around for a long time though.
It has, but what I'm saying is there is precedent for a different shaped lightsaber than just the classic tube.
My only complaint, I loved them all. I thought they were great. Even the art style ones that weren't really my choice in art style. I love the Astro Boy one, the cybernetic kid that wanted to be a Jedi. I thought that was great. The little twist that there's going to be more spoilers in this. That he looked everywhere for the kyber crystal, and it was his power source, and I thought that was really good. I actually really loved the second one about the band.
That was cool.
And Boba going to get the band and bring him back to Jabba.
It was Tamura Morrison doing the voiceover for that too.
It was Tamura Morrison, yeah. The little bobblehead, little cutesy Boba Fett. My only complaint, I would have liked to have seen a few more stories, at least one or two more stories that weren't Jedi centric.
Yeah,
they were all Jedi centric, or in some way. So would have been just like to have seen just a straight out and out bounty hunter one, something along those lines. Would have been.
Well,
good.
I think that I actually quite enjoyed that. I didn't dislike that because I thought it was a nice little full circle to the fact that George Lucas kind of ripped off the samurai movies when he first made Star Wars. I thought it was a nice little like, here you go, guys, you can have what you started back. Yeah, and then have free reign with it and run with it and like think of different ways to portray those Jedi and Sith. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying it was bad. They're all excellent. They're all very, I guess, all going along the creative. I wouldn't say unique because they're all very creative because obviously they're all feeding from the same source material.
Yeah.
But they were very, very creative. I really loved it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would have been nice to have seen something different as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think
I think that'll go into that in a second season. Or
Yeah, they probably will.
there were lots of stories in like Star Wars Galaxies Online, the MMORPG, where the whole universe that you were playing in for a couple of years had no Jedi in it. So it told some really interesting, intricate stories through the quest lines that had fuck all to do with Jedis. And yeah, there was a lot of bounty hunter-esque kind of centric stories, but they're not the classic Clone Wars, Darth Maul busting in and taking over the Dark Suns, for example. It's not that kind of level of bounty hunters. It's more day-to-day stories inside the fabric of that universe. I think they could have done a lot with that. The only episode I really didn't rate was Akakiri, which was the last episode. I found it... Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last
Akakiri.
episode,
I just found it a bit slow and... To be honest and a little blunt, a little bit boring. The twist at the end was unexpected to an extent, but at the same time, kind of not. But that was the only one I struggled to watch. The rest I fucking gobbled up.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah, there was some. I haven't gone back and watched them with the original Japanese voice actors doing the lines, but there were some pretty prominent
big names.
Big names there. David Harbour was one of the Jedi. There was Neil Patrick Harris was in it.
Which one was he? Oh, that was the Elder. That was the
he was the master in the Elder.
Oh, really? Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's him.
I recognised
that was
the
a really
voice, but not the actor.
subtle for such a big man.
Yeah.
That was a very at peace Jedi master.
Yeah, it was.
His tone and that sort of sat on that really level
Zen
playing field. Yeah, that Zen playing field all the way through it. It was okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then there was Alison Brie. There was Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in there.
I was just going to say
Lucy Liu. Jamie Chung, who's been in a bunch of stuff. Obviously, we already said Tamara Morrison came back and did the voice of Boba. George Takei was in there, which, I thought that was pretty cool, to jump
Really?
over. Yeah.
Where did he fit in?
Who did he play?
Yeah.
He
was probably the elder.
No, he was...
That racist
find
of
out who, No, Senshu. I'll find out who it is. Hold on.
Well, they're all Japanese characters, Dan, so not really.
Senshu. I will look that up while you talk.
Neil Patrick Harris was in it. So
I thought the twins episode was a really unique take on the Luke and Leia story as well, and that design of that Star Destroyer was kind of a little bit of a nod and a wink to what was the last movie? That's how much.
Last
Jedi? Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I like it was a little bit of a nod and a wink to the planet killer Star Destroyers in that, saying, okay, well, yeah, they can have a planet killing cannon, but it's going to take 2 Star Destroyers to move it around and power it, and it's got to be the forces the force. I didn't actually mean to say that. The power has to flow through the dark armor on the dark Jedis to power the cannon. It wasn't just a cannon on the ship like the Rise of Skywalker, which was a bit of a cheese.
Oh, and that whole fucking movie was cheese as far as I'm concerned.
I also really enjoyed that their armors all paralleled bits of Vader, but separately. But if you put them together, it would have made Vader's armor. But separately, they looked like homages rather than straight up ones. George Takei was one of the 2 traveler dudes in Akakiri, the last one. He was the dude in the green shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
No wonder I didn't recognise him. I recognised David Harbour's... Jesus, I only had one beer. David Harbour's voice immediately, but I didn't recognise who it was, if that makes sense. It's I know that voice and it's going to bug me. I actually had to pause the episode 10 minutes in, 5 minutes in, and check because it was distracting me from enjoying the fucking episode.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to season 2 as well.
Voice of the Elder was James Hong, who is he's kind of unfortunately been stereotyped in a lot of he's always like the old Chinese man in everything, or Japanese man. Basically, he's like he's been typecast as that, I would say, despite the fact that he's born in the US. But yeah.
Kerry Takawa was he probably does one of the Japanese voice acting ones.
No, it's a stellar, absolute stellar cast, and it'd be cool to see some other big names in there too.
I think it goes to the actual spectacle that they put on, that I wasn't even listening for named actors in those roles.
Yeah. No,
the story. The story, the animation, it just played out, and it kept me captivated enough for each episode to go to not even like I'm looking at the list now as well, and you're right. There's obviously those ones that you just read off there as well. There's a few others I recognise too, and it's just I think that's great that I didn't even realise that the spectacle sort of absorbed me enough to take away from these people doing those voices.
No, I definitely had the same effect as Pete. I was sitting there watching that one, and I was like, I know that voice, and it was David Harbour, and it was bugging me, so I looked it up, and then from there I was just like, I wonder, if he's in it, I wonder who else is in it, and then looked at the list, I was like, holy shit, they got some
big names. Yeah. It's a shame we don't know any of the Japanese original voice actors, but I'm sure they're as famous in Japan anime.
100% would be.
There's a couple I recognise the faces of a couple of them. Just through they obviously do Hollywood movies as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Are we ready for our second beer?
I'm getting there.
Sure.
I destroyed that first one.
Thirsty boy. Eh?
Yeah, I've drunk mine as well, but it's not gonna sit well. So Visions done.
Yeah,
move on.
I think so. Yeah,
I mean, I want to watch it again. It's definitely one of those ones that, because they're only 15-minute episodes, I'll put it on when I'm cooking. Like,
yeah.
Totally excellent. I agree. A second, they've got to do a second season. They really do.
I'm pretty sure they've already lined one up. They've had resounding success from it already.
Yeah,
just looking at the stats.
But okay. Well, that's excellent. Thoughts on The Witcher? Animated? What was it called?
I don't remember. I was going to look it up, but you said tack it on to the end.
Kind of origin story.
Yeah, do you remember what it was called?
Nightmare of the Wolf.
Nightmare of the Wolf. Okay. Yep.
How about that opening scene for setting the tone of the rest of the movie, where the dad explodes from fucking plant tentacles going up through him? Just like that was, I was like, oh, okay, that's what we're right now. I know
it was brilliant.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
like it was brilliant, and it told a really important part of the lore. I'm actually surprised they dealt with that particular piece of content, because it is a really important story to the overall Witcher, or at least to the experience that we know as Witcher.
I'm assuming you're talking about the destruction of Kaer Morhen.
Yeah, and Vesemir and where he came from, what his background is. And to get to that little bridge right at the last second where he addresses Geralt, I thought was a nice twist.
Oh, I remember when we talked about this. We talked about this in a break. I think Pete was out having a smoke, and Dan and I briefly talked about it.
Yeah, I don't think you had seen it at that time.
Yeah,
Pete,
that's why we
watched it like 2 days after it came out, or the day it came out, or something.
Yeah.
So
because this is what I said to you. I was like, I didn't realize that was Vesemir's backstory as a character compared to what I saw in Witcher 3, just about how arrogant and kind of roguish I think he is compared to like the uptight kind of stalwart, like gruff.
Tempered and
yeah. You can see obviously he's
man.
aged several hundred years or whatever, but it's like but no, I do remember us saying, as soon as you saw that kid with the bald kid with not really any lines,
the sickly
that's
guy.
gonna be fucking Geralt. Like
yeah. I didn't pick it. I didn't pick it until he addressed him right at the end.
Yeah. No,
well, I did because he was talking. The name Eskel was thrown around. Eskel and Lambert, and they were the other witches that came up with Geralt. So I'm like, out of the 3 that are out there, or 4, there was 4 kids.
There was 4.
Yeah,
and one boarded.
One of them had to be Geralt, and it just I agree with Tom. As soon as I saw that bald kid, I'm like, yep, they've gone through the trial of grasses, so that one's got to be Geralt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool seeing that. Like actually, it's like kind of they were addressing that and how it's the majors had their influence on it. I generally just thought it was a nice little cool bit as well about the aging, to show how he had his, the girl next door kind of love when he was a kid, and then they fell apart, and then to find her again and be like, for him, he doesn't. Sure, he's been around forever, but it doesn't feel like it compared to her. Like she's lived a full life, and I very much enjoyed it, and I would love to see another. But I love the action sequences, and I thought it was gory as gory as it needed to be without being too over the top.
Over the top for the sake of it, yeah. Did it has that story been told in the books, Dan?
No, you know very, very little about any of the other witches. There's bits and pieces that they're spoken about, but not
probably
in any great extent.
So it's probably a really important piece of the history or lore has now been kind of chronicled into canon with this movie.
Yeah, definitely, and it was really funny that this addition to the canon, but it's still all very felt Witcher-esque. Like
definitely.
It fell in, and even down to the monster not being the monster.
Yeah,
like it wasn't.
It was a moral quandary.
Well, that's exactly
as it frequently is.
Exactly, and they did very well at writing that through the entire throughput of the story. That it wasn't as black and white, and they could have quite easily have glanced over that and just made it a standard paint by numbers.
Just here's the big bad.
Yeah.
Point at him and shoot
with no moral quandary. So to have that extra element there for Vesemir's past, that he then passes that off to Geralt as we see him in like couple of 100 years later, that he very much is, well, things aren't black and white, they're not always. And that speech by Henry Cavill in episode 1 of the TV series, greater evil, lesser evil, middling, it's all the same.
I've seen Mando season 1 3 times. I've seen Mando season 2 twice, and I've watched Witcher 3 times, and I'm seriously considering starting to watch season 1 again. It's just one of those few TV series that I haven't grown bored of yet, and I'm so hungry for season 2 that the only way I can kind of just whet my appetite is to go back and watch the first season again.
I'm definitely considering I'm doing to do another watch before season 2 drops.
It's only been about 8 weeks since I finished it again. So it's just, I don't know why.
It's a TV series, mate. Jesus. Talk about stuck in a loop.
I'm rewatching The Office at the moment. I'm gobbling that up. But that's lawn mowing beer for TV to me. 20-minute episodes throwing on in the background. Doesn't matter what else
your TV. You should watch your TV. Don't lawnmower your TV.
Speaking of lawnmower beers, what are we drinking?
I have
How's that for a segue?
I've got a great one at the moment. Bright Brewing. I have their Smoko Rauchbier with a little campfire. The cozy scent of campfire smoke drifting down from Bright from the nearby Smoko campground inspired our German-style Rauchbier. To craft this full-flavoured and hearty smoked beer, we use a blend of Australian mountain ash, red gum and German beechwood malt to give this iconic beer a warm, malty flavour and a delicious barbecue aroma. Colour me excited. I fucking love a smoky beer. I'm all about it.
It's Rauchbier as well.
I'm sorry. Listen here, you damn kraut.
Are you going to tell us what it tastes like?
Oh, Jesus Christ! There's a campfire in the room. This is great. Oh,
funny. We just did a smoked beer as well. So I'll put some aside for you.
Smoky fucking bacon, fucking goodness. This is Oh,
the only smoked beer I think I've tried is a smoked porter, which is pretty common, and I've actually got one in the fridge at the moment.
Oh, that is delicious. There's not much of it. There's huge smoky. It literally feels like someone's just put out a fire in the room, like a proper campfire. And then it's like a little bit sweet. It's quite light, actually, depending compared to the color. And none of that smokiness through, which I really think turns people off those smoky beers. They don't want to drink smoke. But talking to someone who has their plot of land at Lefroy. So like I love that peat smoke. This is pure campfire, like bake. It smells like bacon. It smells like smoked bacon in this room. I am loving this.
Sorry, I didn't catch the name of the beer.
It's the Smoko Rauchbier.
Rauchbier.
From Bright Brewing down in Victoria.
Right. Cool.
Yep. So they're
it's come up a couple of times recently, Bright.
Yeah. Good mate. Actually, a good mate of mine went to work for him. Label's not lined up, Dan. Fucking, they're done. Fire 'em. Yeah, I've always wanted to go up to there. I reckon that mountain that was the Victorian Victoria Highlands kind of area. There's a few of them up there. Isn't that where Bridge Road is up? Is that them? They're up that way?
Bridge Road Brewing.
Bridge Road's in Beechworth. Yeah.
I think, there's a few of them up there because they do the what's it, the High Harvest Festival?
The annual hop harvest down there.
Yeah. So it's looks like beautiful part of the country that I would love to go visit.
Yeah.
But
really
this
should
is fantastic.
We really should wait until lockdown finishes and do a beer road trip to Melbourne. That'd be a lot of fun.
Especially in your tank.
On the way.
Yeah. Take the Peter tank down to the Hendon Peter.
I'm sure there's a fucking Family Guy episode where there's a Peter tank. There has to be a cutaway where Peter's driving a fucking tank.
You make it sound like I'm driving a minivan or something. What are you drinking, Dan?
I am
non-alcoholic.
No. I bought two normal. I actually wasn't going to have the non-alcoholic one on this, but after that one was 9%, I'm definitely going to grab it next time.
Yep.
I am sure I've had this before. This is DDH Akasha Brewing double dry hop.
Yeah, they rebranded that one. And I think they changed the recipe slightly because I had that the other week. I was like, a new one, and they were like, nah, this has come back. But
the label is beautifully aligned. Yeah, maybe like points of a mil out. Yep. But beautifully aligned. It's stellar. It's a fucking cracking IPA. It hits the brief for every the guidelines for a dry hopped double dry hopped IPA. Just absolutely bang on. Just clean and fantastic hop expression. Just a beautiful sort of rounded body to it, but not hazy,
thick as orange juice. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, just not relying on that protein and that to give it any sort of body. It's just beautifully crafted, beautifully executed. Just once again, these. I mean, Akasha's always been great, but these most recent Akasha ones I've had have just been next level.
Cool.
And Peter, what are you drinking?
I'm struggling, actually. I don't know what's going on in this room. It's like my computer's turned into a furnace. It's like 28 degrees in this bedroom at the moment.
I thought you were going to say you're struggling for a sink pour.
No, hell no. This is Batch Brewing's Tropical Pipeline, which is obviously uses a very similar base to Pash. It is a passion fruit sour with coconut and vanilla. And at 4.5%, it's good, but comparing it to Pash, there's not much in between them, to be honest.
Comments,
Tropical
Thomas?
Pipeline. Well, I was supposed to say it's a bit old, Peter. Is that hidden down the back of the fridge?
It was actually hidden in my cupboard.
Oh,
yeah, that was summer.
Is that last season's? Is it?
That was pre-lockdown.
9 months ago. Okay. Well, that would explain why I'm not getting any of
it's not tasting too good. Sorry.
Any of the complexity out of it. It's just a
and
sour.
stored in a cupboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool dry place.
Yeah.
It's got to be better than putting it in a fridge and then taking it out and putting it back in the fridge and taking it out. So
that's all right. I did walk past a venue today that just in the back of Erskineville, and they had a keg of Cascade Light that had been sitting out the back to the point where they'd obviously tapped it and then untapped it, and then they'd spilt beer on the top of it, and there was like
layer of
no. It looked like one of the Last of Us zombies, it was growing the biggest fucking mold fountain. I was just like, send that one back. Mate, just hose it off, retap it, it'll be good.
It's Cascade Light. No one's going to fucking know the difference anyway, right?
No. Yeah. But I'll make sure to get you one of those tropical pipelines when they rebrew it. It'll get you a freshie.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Because I do want to do it justice. I love batches sours, but this one's it's not bad. It's just between the temperature in this room, it's and the beer's age. It's just a vinegary sour, if you like.
Oh no, it was a tropical fruit salad when it first came out. So
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry, Pete. I will make sure to get you one as soon as I will run and steal it off the canning line for you. There you go. That's how fresh it'll be.
I'm actually fucking sweating in here. I'm sitting in shorts. So, can I steal the next topic, please?
You're going by the
I am the run sheet.
I am. Go for it.
So
go for it.
So
I feel slightly vindicated here.
It's about time. Yeah.
You feel vindicated. I took your advice. Both of you have been giving me shit for a while, and Big Easy Eduardo, basically, I think you left a comment a couple of episodes ago saying, don't fucking talk to me again, Pete, until you've played God of War. So I went and played God of War. I spent a week of waking up early before work to fit in 3 hours before work started. And then as soon as work finished, 5:30, go and have a shower, sit down, eat dinner, and then start playing again. It took me a week to platinum the game.
You did power through it.
Yeah, but I played everything in it. Like, I made sure that I took enough time and care to appreciate the game. I wasn't rushing it. It's just I played a lot of hours in it. Fuck me, it was a good game. Like, it's just the storytelling, the creativity behind the puzzles. The puzzles don't get boring by the end of the game, and there's shit tons of them in there. I got the typical frustration I get in a lot of games like that, where like so much of the game is closed off to you at the start, and you have to come back right at the end with all of the new ability skills that you've learnt throughout the game to be able to unlock the last little bit. It's frustrating in a good way, in the sense that I'm an explorer and a completionist, and I like to look in every nook and cranny, and it's like all this shit's behind walls that I can't get through. That just bugs me. So it's like, oh, cool, I can get rid of the Hellfire Bramble. So I went back and did all the Hellfire Bramble sections as soon as I could. But I'd already gone through the same sections 3 times by that stage, because I'd already gotten the electric arrows and blown up all of the world sap, the world tree sap. And I'd already been through before with the stun arrows to light up all the blue crystals. So, no, it was just brilliant. The story was fantastic. The plot twist at the end, I don't think you can spoil a game that's been out since 2018, that he's Loki. I think I did not see that coming, and I feel stupid for not seeing it coming, but I didn't see it coming at all.
That's just good writing on their part.
I got shivers when they do the reveal of the cave. The wall paintings.
Yeah, the wall paintings.
When they finally made it to Jotunheim, it was, and it's like, this is our story. I got shivers and tears almost with when he picked up the Blades of Chaos again, and I knew that they were coming.
Yep.
It wasn't your conversation on the podcast that spoiled that for me. It was, I'd seen a screenshot somewhere where they're on his back.
It was like, three years of the game being out. That may have seen something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, fair cop too. But it was a powerful moment. But the relationship,
one of the best scenes in that whole game is just that kind of, you can feel the descent back into madness and chaos that he goes into. The changing colours, it kind of goes a bit grayscale. But
the ghost,
grey and red, like,
it wasn't Athena who was taunting him.
It was Athena.
Yeah. The interplay between him and his son obviously was magnificent, and I love Christopher Judge. He'll always be Teok to me, and just to see him kind of bust out of that.
They are doing Stargate again. If they cannot reuse those characters, they have to create new characters and not recycle.
I agree. Not recycle
any of those people to those like new actors.
Are they doing another Stargate? Are they?
They are doing a new Stargate. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I've seen all of the Stargate. All of them.
We'll tackle that at a future stage.
Reel him back in.
Reeling him back in. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks. No, it was brilliant, and even the story between.
So can I just grab you
Boulder.
there when you're talking about Christopher Judd and the Atreus and Kratos interaction? How do you think that kid felt? Because they actually acted this out in mocap stuff.
Yeah.
And Christopher Judd is a big man.
Fucking huge.
A big man. And when he yells at this kid for...
Boy.
Read it, boy.
Did, like, really having a go at him, like, pulling him in after he stabs Magni,
Yep.
and just saying, and Atreus goes, "We're gods, we can do what we want," and Kratos, like, really reprimands him, like horrendous,
Lays into him.
not in a bad way, but in
an intimidating father kind of way.
Yeah.
Exactly. How do you think that boy felt? And I know he would have been acting through his lines and he was probably caught up in it and everything, but just for him to be able to continue on that little arrogance role when Christopher Judge is standing above you, like pounding these words at you, like
I think
it would have been such a presence.
I think if you listen to the first take versus the 10th take, they'd probably be very different performances.
No, definitely. So I know. So after finishing the series, I watched the 90-minute making of documentary called Raising Kratos.
Yeah.
And it is, I cried more in that than I did there was a couple of times in the game that you kind of well up a bit, but the stories behind the actors and what they channeled into that game was really where that power comes from. So Christopher Judge talking about his ex-wife and being estranged from his kids, and even before that, the fact that he lost 10 years of his kids' childhood to Stargate. 10 years just, he was absent. And you kind of got the impression of what he didn't say was that kind of led to his divorce. And talking about channeling that, and one of the things that he said reminded me so much of that scene where he picked up the Blades of Chaos again. He's like, it wasn't that scene, it was a scene well earlier in the game storyline. But he's like, do I want to open this box? Like, in order to deliver the power I need to in terms of building this relationship with a kid that I haven't been there for, and the interplay between Atreus and Kratos, in order for me to put what I need to into the voice acting, I need to open up a box I'm not really sure I want to open. And then he went on and opened it. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from. In terms of the boy, I think the boy struggled at the start. Certainly that was how he was represented in the documentary, that he needed a lot of coaching to kind of channel the right energies into what he was doing, particularly where he's killing the deer right at the start, which they actually used for the reveal trailer, but they used it slightly differently in the game.
It was.
But those two had a great relationship, and that was on Christopher Judge. Like, a lot of the voice acting behind-the-scenes footage you get to see, Christopher Judge is just like, hey, little man, how you doing? What's been happening? Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Swears, carries on. He's very buddy-buddy, so I think a lot of that interplay would have been a lot of fun for them, if anything. But fuck, did they deliver it. The other thing is, you can't see much Christopher Judge in Kratos' model.
No.
But when I looked at Atreus, I just assumed it was going to be similar to Kratos in that it had no representation of who the actor was. Mate, that kid, the real actor's eyes are that fucking blue. Like, it was the first thing I noticed when in the behind the scenes. Freya, her model in the game is the actress. There's almost no change whatsoever. Balder, he looks just like the actor that plays him.
Yeah, but have you looked at the guy who originally played Kratos, though? Terrence C. Carson?
No.
Because he looks, from what I remember, he looks pretty bang on to, like,
right.
He looks like Kratos in the original games.
So obviously they can't steer too far away from the original.
Well, you can't give that
Yeah.
character that much of a makeover. I mean, Did you play the other? You played all the other games, didn't you, Pete? The series? Or?
I've played the main games, so the main trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. I haven't
yeah.
played Ascension and all the other spin-offs.
Yeah, okay.
You gave me
that
shit
was
about
the
it.
biggest thing for me, is just going from you do get a bit tired between 2 and 3 of Kratos' one man army kind of vibe of like that's all he's just that single tunnel vision kind of thing. It's hard to develop that character, and they try and throw things in. You're just like, yeah, okay,
none of it had any meaning.
But you think about it, you just can't stay angry for that long. Like eventually, you just get tired. You need a nap. Like, have a Snickers, mate. You'll feel better. But like, and I don't get me wrong, I fucking love the God of War series. It's one of my favorite series of all times. But just the change in that character to go from
I love that game.
A one-dimensional pure rage monster to a caring father that made you think
struggling with fatherhood, struggling with the weight of responsibility, struggling with grief for his wife and hiding it from his son,
and also his own failures as well, and trying to make sure his son doesn't follow down that path and destroy. But then eventually he's like, well, fuck it, I might just destroy it because that's what I do. Like,
but even struggling with himself being a god in a different land, like there's struggles there. He's trying to not well. I mean, he is trying to hide it, but it's more not hiding it as where it's a self-isolation. It's a I don't want to be part of this world. I don't want to deal with these gods, and then they literally come and knock on his front door. Yeah. Like he has separated himself from the world, and obviously Lafay has surrounded their forest with a magical barrier. Yeah. But like he has separated himself out for that reason. Like he wants to be, he wants no more part in this, and it just continues on. And I mean, obviously that then leads into his downfalls as a father, and the whole not revealing to Atreus, which leads to
which you can understand why. I mean, he murdered his own wife and kids at the start of God of War 1, so he doesn't have a great family history, you know.
Accidentally.
Yeah. I mean, he was twisted into doing it.
He was tricked into doing it.
Exactly right. Yeah. But he still carries that anger. I mean, that's that was the basis for the anger for the whole first game.
His hatred of Ares.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guilt.
10 years of servitude.
A lot of guilt mixed in there too. Yeah. There was a lot of guilt mixed in there too. It's one of my all-time favorite games, I think, in terms of story.
Peter, shall we go to mechanics, or shall we talk about the one last major character in there first?
Let's talk about the one last major character in there first.
Fucking Mimir.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's a head on his belt, mate.
Was brilliant.
Okay, laddie, you bloody fucking hope he is.
The amount of times I just sat back and just listened to the banter until he runs out of stories. Because he does eventually run out of stories. I noticed towards the end of the game, there was silence. And it's like, what's missing? There's something wrong. It was because Mimir had no more lore to share.
What was the voice of Mimir? I'm going to look that up.
The stories on the boat. Yep. I've done several laps around that harbour just to continue, listen to the end of the story.
Also, I just liked really going around that in that boat. That was fun.
Yeah, which leads pretty well into the mechanics. But I actually I don't know how realistic the lore was depicted in that game compared to real Norse mythology.
I'm just going to ask just before we go into that, the voice of Mimir was a man by the name of Alistair Neil Duncan. He was also known for voicing Alfred Pennyworth in some of the animated Batman movies.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool. He's done a bunch of stuff. He was in Metal Gear, one of the Metal Gear games. He was in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie. But yeah, he was, there you go. He was also great. Alfred.
And I'm glad Mimi is back for Ragnarok.
Fuck yeah.
They could not have done
I'm actually more excited to have the Dwarf Brothers back. I very much enjoyed
they were
their
brilliant. As comic relief, they were brilliant.
Yeah.
Just being told to fuck off constantly. And the how different the personalities were between the two brothers.
The neurotic.
Sindri with his you know, I'd tell everyone if you don't want to buy anything, then you don't have to buy anything. not. And yeah, the OCD, the amount of times that guy dry retched in that game was fucking brilliant.
Like holding the Leviathan.
Or when he handed him Mimir's head.
Yeah.
Or I think, what was it? He actually vomits towards the end of the game. I think that was about Mimir's his other eye.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He did something. Maybe that was it. But he actually vomits finally. No, those two brothers were brilliant. Brock's hilarious. Yeah. Mechanics.
Fucking 3 combat systems.
Yeah.
Leviathan axe, Blades of
Chaos.
Chaos, unarmed.
Yeah. And
3
Atreus.
fucking...
And
Well,
Atreus
Atreus is a bonus system, but they Kratos, you can literally finish a fight without a weapon in your hand.
Yeah.
So there's 3 combat
And in fact, there
systems
was
in that
some
game.
Really
fights.
heavy brawling as well. It was like it was like the indie punch. Like it's the whole shoulder like throwing. Like it's a pretty, I guess if you're thinking defensively, it's not the best style of.
No, it's street fighting.
Like, but it's not even. I don't even know if it's street fighting. It's just like I'm
It's
throwing
video
my entire
game,
body.
movie fighting. Yeah.
But it's just that
drunken
whole, it's that
haymaker.
Indiana Jones like whole shoulder like throws right in, without touching the
Telegraphing.
mic. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the combat mechanics took a lot of getting used to coming straight off the back of that game that shall not be named, where that other game's all about blocking at the exact right moment. And there is an element of that in God of War, but you kind of have to go a lot more offensive. I ended up... I started by... I probably played the first third to half of the game throwing the shit out of the Leviathan axe as often as I could, just to weaken shit as it was coming towards me before getting into combat. But by the halfway point, I'd switched to runic. And so everything was about getting my cooldown as high as... my cooldown stat as high as possible and my runic stat as high as possible instead of defense and strength. And so by the end, I was dropping heavy and light runic attacks every 25 to 30 seconds. And I think my light was every 15 seconds. And I was just annihilating everything. In fact, even the only real challenge...
by the end, yeah.
Which is good, right? That's what you want.
Yeah,
you want to finish a game feeling like a god, particularly God of War. But the queen, the Valkyrie queen...
One last big fuck you.
Bitch.
It's a toughie. It's a
bitch.
fucking toughie.
I mean, there was the first 2 or 3 Valkyries, I think I had to reattempt 2 or 3 times each. And I was playing on medium difficulty, so it's not like I was give me God of War mode. But you had to learn the patterns, and I thought it was awesome that they were all different.
Yeah.
Some of them were, the arena was smaller, they were annihilate you in melee, but they were quite weak once you got to ranged, and you could just kill them with runics. And then some of them were, you had to look for that red... Yeah, you had to look for that red fucking thing, and half the time you were ducking based on your internal clock of timing because you knew she was going to swoop you a second and then a third time, and you had to count the beats before you ducked to skip the second or the third grab. I thought that was fucking cool. They were really challenging fights.
I agree. Every time I went into one of those, I'm like, well, after you got to the second or third one, and you've gone, okay, these are different.
Yeah.
What am I going to experience when I get to the bottom of this elevator? Like, what's
There was
going
a little
to
bit
wait
of trepidation
for me on the other side? Yeah,
yeah. But you do find that almost all of them, in the end, even the ones that you didn't want to get into their face, most of them, for me anyway, I could runic attack and just annihilate them. I just had to get the timing right and see how they were telegraphing their attacks, which ones I could block, because that gave me a huge advantage. If you got the block riposte with a runic, it would kill them. Whereas if you hit, because I was doing like the 5, my heavy runic was the 5 strikes onto the ground with a Leviathan axe. Yeah. But if the Valkyries were the
heavy attack too, there's so much weight in all of those.
But if the Valkyries are the only enemy in the game where they can initiate their zoom up attack halfway through. And so that that 20-second, 30-second cooldown is now wasted. I might have hit them once, and then they zoomed away. So it was all just about learning timing. Whereas the Valkyrie Queen was the only boss in the entire game or the only Valkyrie, where you really needed to be in a face. Because as soon as you gave her range, her unblockables were truly unblockable. You couldn't dive, you couldn't duck, you couldn't do fucking anything. She just destroyed me. So in the end, I was up in her face all the fucking time for that fight. Yeah, right. It is one game where, particularly coming off the back of an AC title, it is one game where the collectibles were interesting and rewarding and worth fucking doing. They weren't just, I mean, with the exception maybe of Odin's Ravens, which I kept an eye out from the start anyway.
Oh, no, they were cool. I loved Odin's Ravens.
I had 3 Ravens to mop up by the time I finished the main story. Out of 51, I had 3 that I hadn't seen just in the normal course of the game. So there was no grinding for me at all to get the platinum. But the rest of the collectibles had a reason. There was a point to going and getting them. They gave you something interesting. The trials, farming the mists for the mist armor. And in the end, I built the mist armor, but I didn't upgrade it. I used the mists to upgrade the Valkyrie armor. But going and doing that...
the Niflheim armor was the best armor in the game.
No, not for Runic. I'd argue the Valkyrie armor fully upgraded was better. And did you get the glove, the gauntlet? What's his name? What's his Thanos' gauntlet with the 3 3 power stones in it? Yeah. That was fucking brilliant. So it was a talisman called the Broken Gauntlet. And the description was this gauntlet was too powerful, so it was broken up into several pieces. And then there are 7 talismans or 8 talismans, 8 enchantments sprinkled through the game with specific names. You get through various random shit with various stats on them. But if you stick any of those 8 in the gauntlet talisman as the 3 enchantments, the cooldown proc on that talisman would just annihilate everything.
There was one in particular. There was one in particular that mimicked the Power Stone from Avengers, and you could literally do the purple blasts. I remember that. Yeah.
So I had the Time Stone, the Soul Stone, and I think the Space Stone in the end. I can't remember exactly, but it was all round. It was one of the best games I've ever played, and so refreshing coming off an AC title.
Yeah, there is no argument here from either of us.
Yeah.
So I'm
preaching to the choir, definitely.
I've got a mad boner for God of War Ragnarok now, and
as you should.
The trailer wouldn't have really had any impact on me if I hadn't just finished playing the game, because there's so much scenery in the trailer that is a callback to the same area, like the Temple of Tyr. The lake is now frozen over.
Yeah.
At the start of that trailer,
which
I would have missed so many of those references. Which has been a source of annoyance
for me in various seeing comments and stuff online of people being like, "Oh, they haven't upgraded God of War because it all looks the same." It's like, yeah, because it's a fucking masterpiece, you muppets. How about you just shut the fuck up and maybe.
The game engine is there to tell us to allow a game developer to tell a story.
Oh no, it's just these fucking little
the
shitheads
story
who are just like, oh, the graphics aren't there. They don't fucking spit on my face when I'm getting kicked. It's like shut up.
They can play that new shitty looking Lego-esque game called it's on the Tropical or.
Hey, don't shit on the Lego game. You're talking to a Lego game.
No, it's not a Lego game. It's not a Lego game. It's called Tourism, and it's spelt with a Y somewhere in there. It's the first game that natively runs at 8K 60p on a PlayStation 5, even though the PS5 can't put out 8K. So, if they want to be wanky about their fucking graphics engine, they can go play that. Still going to come out at 4K on their TV.
They're all PC fanboys anyway. Fuck them.
On the graphic side of it anyway, I mean,
it's an artwork.
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
And absolutely gorgeous. So
Totally agree. But like I said, I mean, if the graphics don't obstruct you from telling the story you want to tell, then the graphics are good enough for the game. It doesn't need an upgrade just for the sake of the upgrade. That's not... And it's fanboys like that have been the driving force behind so many video games that look beautiful and are absolutely fucking shithouse in terms of telling a story. Because
Square
it's
Enix Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, they're just pretty for
sorry.
the sake of looking pretty,
So
but there's no
much
real
smoke in this
substance there.
I think Dan and I both. Well, I think we've waxed lyrical on this enough times, but it's you throw that Leviathan axe and then you just call it back and you see the little
buzz.
the little okay, like it's
I
that
did
little
all the
wiggle
shit
when
that
it's
I
like
did all the
mid-
shit that you guys
mid-twirl.
talked about.
Yeah,
I
'cause you
chucked it off
should've.
the summit. You know, the one place I was a little bit worried about it was the when you're traveling in the non-dimension. I threw the axe out by the end of the game.
The branch of the Yggdrasil.
Yeah. So at the end of the game, when you flip Tyr's temple upside
temple.
down and you walk through to Jotunheim, I threw the axe off the edge of the world, off the edge of the universe, and then went to Jotunheim and then got pushed back to I was going to say Middle Earth then, but and called
Midgard.
it Midgard, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come back, but of course it did. Yeah. I did love the Thor-esque. It just reminded me of Thor, where he puts his arm out and you see this clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah,
Very
100%
much
they
like
took
that.
from the Marvel movies. The sound that it makes as it's returning, that high pitched hum that as it's returning. That you could put that next to the Marvel Mjolnir returning, and it would almost be an identical sound. And but that's the age we are in. Like that's like it's playing on the popular pop culture of that mythology. And it's
Well, think about it. Yeah,
off each other.
2018 was what? That was Infinity War. That was the height of Marvel when that came out. Like you've had so many Thor movies.
Although
come out, you wouldn't use that.
I mean, it was developed over a 3-4 year period, though, so they would have started.
You still got
2014.
2 Thor movies solo, and then you've got the Avengers films. Like you've got plenty of Thor throwing Mjolnir around.
I'd love to feel the recoil for Leviathan Axe on the DualShock 4 controller, because I assure you, like I guarantee you.
You mean the PS5 controller?
No, because I'm playing it on PS5. I would love to experience it on the PS4 with the DualShock 4.
Oh, it's beautiful as well.
Because I guarantee you the sensation's different, is what I'm saying.
I'd much rather be feeling it on the PS5 controller with the haptic feedback.
I've never felt it on the PS4 controller. It'd be different. I just want to feel it.
It was beautiful. It was all there. It
Tom looks
hit your hand.
confused.
It hit your
No,
hand.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying you're wrong.
I haven't. Okay.
Don't downgrade it.
It hit your hand.
Constantly
but
upgrade.
my one thing that I have to say, I have to get this off my chest. It was my criticism while I was playing the game that all of the places and paths you were going were all shown to you through the gold edging of the lips and the sigils and everything like that, and where you could shuffle across a ledge and climb up and everything like that.
Yeah.
The fact that they addressed that at the end, and it was the mother that went through and said, "This is your journey. This is where it is going to take you." Like, it's such a beautiful little thing to say, "Hey guys, we acknowledge that you've been climbing up on gold ledges, and we've done this to make it easier for you, but this is the in-world
Explanation
in-world
for it.
explanation for all of this to be there." And it was that to me, and as they're talking about that, as they're walking down the mountain, that after they've let the ashes go at Jotunheim, and that this is just before he talks about the Atreus name, it just goes to show that they're thought the entire way through the game. They absolutely meticulously planned this masterpiece from start to finish.
I don't know. Raising Kratos tells a different story. It made it feel like it was a last-minute mad rush. There was 6,500 bugs 2 weeks before they cut the DVD to go to release, and they were shitting bricks.
Yeah, but I mean, I guarantee things like that were spoken about early or midway. Like those sort of things, they can't.
Santa Monica Studios definitely have some fucking talented people working there. Like, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
To have content that feeds into mechanics, and the mechanics all explained by content, like, you're right, is brilliant. Absolutely. No, one of my favorite games for a long time. And now I've got the problem that I don't know what to play next. So
it won't hold up.
Yeah. Well, it's not that far away from. When's number 2 out?
I disagree with that statement. There are plenty of games out there that
I've got
need
Ghost
to be
of
played.
Tsushima. I've got.
You got to play
Miles
Ghosts.
Morales. I've got. Yeah, there's plenty of good games to play.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to kick off some Borderlands 3 at some point on Twitch as well. So look, I think we need to go to a break, and I need to fucking.
I need to
bathe
pee.
my face
I also
in
need to
water.
grab a new beer.
But before we go, I just want to say thank you for the for pushing me to play the game, and big thanks to Big Easy Eduardo, which I'll throw his Twitch link up. If you're on Twitch, you should check him out. I've actually seen quite a few of his live streams. He's a classic. So yeah, go and check that out. And we'll be right back after this break. And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody. Hello.
You've just heard that.
We need to re-record that.
I don't know.
Cool.
I think the original's good. I like it.
Let's go. You weren't even on it, I don't think.
I am one of the two voices.
It definitely is, yeah.
It was definitely.
it was me and Chris.
Chris was on it.
Well, Chris and I should say.
Bahama Mama. Is that what it says?
Coconut, mango coconut sour. So I apologise. I didn't pick up the American one that I was going to, the blood orange Gose. This is the mango coconut sour from Deep Creek in Auckland.
Cool.
I love
And what does it taste like?
I haven't tried it yet.
You can't. Oh fuck! It's orange.
Does it taste like
Well,
Bahama Mamas?
Before I even got it, Bahama Mamas, yeah, sweaty, full of sand and
Salty. It's a Gose.
coconut oil. Yeah, got that extra tang of yeast in there as well.
Sign me up.
The when I got it to my face hole, the banana aroma hit me straight away before I even took a sip. The banana really came through, and it's not lolly banana. It actually smells like banana. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, that's got to be I mean, I've never made a beer with banana in it, but if they're not using like a wheat beer yeast to get that sort of that character through esters or something, if they're actually using banana, that's got to be a crazy hard flavour to get through, I reckon.
It's a fucking orange-looking beer from Casper the Friendly Ghost's webcam.
Once again, it's not quite that
Orange.
It's not quite that orange. That's more what it's like when it's when it's up close there. It's
extreme close up.
Yeah, it's a nice pale color.
What am I drinking?
Pale orange. Not
I
super
am
sour.
drinking the white beer Hazy Kveik, which is their hazy strong pale, using a Kveik yeast strain. It's loaded with lemon drop, Simcoe cryo, and citra hops. And what a surprise! It's a white beer bay that is as thick as I am.
It's a white bay beer.
White Bay beer.
White Bay Brewing. Hazy Kveik.
You kept saying white beer.
Did I? I thought maybe I said White Bay beer, but I was saying it very quickly.
You were saying white beer bay, yeah.
White beer bay?
Yep.
White Bay
Just
beer.
drink the fucking beer.
White beer.
Don't tell me how to live my life. You're not my dad. Actually, I want to do a little
How
shout
often
out to
did
my
your
dad.
tell you
Shut
how
up.
to live
Talking
your
about my
life?
dad.
You say that
Talking
a lot.
about my dad. Today is the 3rd of October. It is my father's 61st birthday. And I would like to give a shout out to my dad because he has been listening to our podcasts in full, unlike my mother, who only listens to the first 20 minutes and gets confused and stops listening.
Realizes how much swearing and carry on
I
there
did say
is.
that. I was like, yeah, Mum, like, how do you get through that?
Really?
Like, I talk a lot of shit.
Well, at
but
least she won't get to the Bahama Mama part.
No, she definitely won't. But no, my dad has been listening to him as he goes for his walks. But the last episode, or whatever episode we were talking about Bond, he very much enjoyed while he was having a Vespa Martini. So happy birthday, Dad. This is my little shout out to you. I hope you enjoy the Apple Watch we got you. Fucking Apple, if you could give me some money for that little name drop, that'd be great. I will give you my details. But yeah.
Happy birthday, Tom's dad.
Happy
Good on
birthday,
ya.
Papa Pigget.
Papa Pigget.
Papa Pigget.
Not Peppa Pig, Papa Pigget. Yeah.
Papa Pigget.
Anyway, this beer. Yep, it's a hazy.
He says
there's
chewing.
there's still a little bit of smoke in that glass. I probably should have given it a more thorough wash.
Really should have washed it, mate.
No, you can still definitely taste that. It's that weird tang you get from that Kveik yeast. It's it's not quite as soft as most of those hazy yeasts that most of them use, but it's I could never quite explain it, but it's quite dry. I think that's probably the best thing. It's dry, but it's kind of that full mouthfeel. Bit of like, I don't know what lemon drop hop is. I don't think I've ever really seen that. I think, is that a newish one?
It's been around for not too many years, couple of years.
Yeah, okay. If it's meant to be giving off lemonish characters, then I'm getting quite a bit of that. But I hate to break it to you, but look at that. Look at that, Dan. Oh, dear.
My label lineup's bad.
Oh,
too.
that's yeah. No,
Throw that against the wall. Jesus Christ.
Mine's pretty good.
No,
and for anybody listening or watching, this is we are not serious about this. We are absolutely just taking the piss.
It's just become a bit of an in-joke. Yeah.
It's a very much of an in-joke. It all stems from me having to stand on the labeler at work and having a pet peeve when the labeler, and you develop these fucking idiosyncrasies when you watch 9,000 cans go through this fucking labeler. Like you do go.
I'd love to label 9,000 cans.
Oh.
I develop some idiosyncrasies.
I think at the brewery, if you really want to do it.
You go a little crazy.
Yep.
And you have to.
Peter.
You have to.
Bad form, Peter. Bad form.
You have to work on your own fun. There you go.
You did the
Pete. There's another one.
You motorboating son of a bitch. Well, I am drinking 3 Ravens Eclipse Juicy, which is pretty darn good, actually. It's a single hop NEPA, 6%. An unfiltered India Pale Ale with low bitterness and a smooth mouthfeel, combining protein-rich wheat and oats, fruity yeast, and Eclipse hops.
I love the 3 Ravens Juicy range. I think they're a really good showcase of they do a lot of single hop NEPAs. I think they're very well done. I will 100% tip the hat to good old 3 Ravens. Well done.
It smells like Passiona. So you get that real passion fruity juiciness. It's a very tropical. I mean, it's typical of Eclipse, which wasn't Eclipse the hops that no.
The next comment you're about to make is correct.
Eclipse was the hops that we tried when it was launched onto the Australian market without a code name, right? So it's
HPA 316 or something.
Yeah.
They released the box. The mix box, and I bought a bunch of them that night.
Batch did one. They were doing a single hop with them. Yeah, I remember when that was
so
out.
If your beer tastes like that, Pete, I shudder to think how much hop they put in that product.
It smells tropical juice. It tastes a lot
used
more
that
orange,
hop,
a lot more citrus than it tastes more citrus than it smells. It smells like
I remember
Passiona.
some of those Eclipse beers had like almost herbal characters. They were coming off. It was like a weird pine herbal trop mix. Like
you get a little bit of the hop note, like the green resiny note, but not really. It's just a big. It's typical of a NEPA, right? It's a big juicy fucking NEPA. It's very hazy, in fact, without being chunky and full of proteins. You don't have to chew it. No, that's thoroughly enjoyable, and at 6%. Like it's a good mix.
Oh yeah, I didn't look at what my percentage is. Oh, I might have done it again.
Oh dear.
Wait for him to turn on his light so he looks like Casper.
Oh no, it's a 500ml can. It's 4.5%. Fucking golden.
All right, let's get into
Cooking
a topic.
with gas. What's
Cooking with gas?
Cooking with gas. What are we talking about next?
I'm going to have a quick chat, just a quick chat about Foundation. Without any spoilers.
Okay. Yep.
We're only 3 episodes in. It's coming out every Friday. I don't know how many episodes there are in the season.
I think there's 9 or 10. I looked it up.
Well,
from memory.
There's no point telling me you looked it up if you don't have the information, is there?
Well, fuck, I'll look it up again. But I'm pretty
10.
sure it was 9 or 10.
It's 10 in the season. We're 3
Pretty fucking
in.
close.
We're 3 in, and it is exactly what I had hoped it would be. It is humongous in scope. It is I mean, look, I haven't read the Foundation novels. I've read Asimov, but I haven't read Foundation, which is one of his most mainstream, famous 4 kind of book series,
Yeah.
the university created. And I knew the scope was going to be like eon spanning, forward thinking. It was written in the fucking 60s. And the series, if you're looking for raw science fiction action, it's not going to deliver. Not immediately. It's a slow burn. Think about the universe. Think about the repercussions of changes in history or, throughout the future. The advent of cloning and how imperialism kind of expands humanity and the almost the feudal government that rules over the universe for humanity. And then one guy turns up and just says it's all going to come crashing down. And the world or the power reacts exactly as you would expect them to react. And it's you can see the parallels in modern day, in 2021, real life, but you can also see what he was originally making a comment about back in the 60s. So, yeah, if you're prepared to invest the time in kind of it not being a punch you in the throat sci-fi action film from the very beginning, I'm guarantee it's going to pay dividends.
I'm not entirely sure I want any TV show to punch me in the throat.
I mean, I do.
That's what happens. So, I mean, that's well, they've got to do something after 8K, right? They've got to do something new after 8K. It's either that or smell of vision.
Dimension instead of like the chairs just moving. They just come and punch you straight in the throat.
Yeah.
Cop that, you bitch.
Every now and then, one per movie. If it's R-rated, you get a dick punch.
I will admit
that's like Mark 1 of TV interaction.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody gets kicked in the nuts,
you feel it.
That Rochambeau episode of fucking South Park is just a nightmare to put on.
Yeah.
It's just like
You'll put the fucking box on.
It'll be when you get your smart couch that's like connected to your TV, and there's just a lever that just comes up and goes dunk and like just smacks you straight in the balls. But I will admit, Pete, I went to go watch it the other day, and it was purely down to time constraints because the first episode is an hour and 10 minutes. And
yeah.
Well, that's what turned me off starting it because I wanted to sit down and watch it, and
I don't expect it to be a series where you can follow individual. And this broke my brain. So by episode 3, not broke my brain, but it's very different from what you would normally see in a TV series or a movie. You can't follow individual characters because the series moves too fast in time. So it'll jump 17 years ahead and it's a whole new generation and spend 15 minutes there and then jump 17 years ahead to a whole new generation and spend 20 minutes there. Yeah, so a lot of the characters that are introduced in the first episode, you presume, and it's not like they deal with it, but that you would presume that they'd probably have passed on, some of them at least, by the third episode. And they do jump around. It is a very... It feels like it's a book because, books have a lot more of a tendency than TV series or movies to kind of jump around quite a bit and follow two different storylines that may not necessarily be happening at the same time. Yeah. So it'll jump to, 8 years prior, spend some time there and then jump back to present day.
Do that, yeah.
Yeah. So the TV series is very true to that style of storytelling. It does jump around time-wise, and it takes no prisoners in terms of advancing the storyline.
Okay.
So I think, by the end of episode 3, you're 50 years past where you started on at the beginning of episode 1.
No, I will definitely give it a shot. I looked at the some of the cast that they had in it, and a
lot of no names.
But there was that dude who, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. He's the older guy with kind of reddish hair. I think he's like the older,
plays kind of Moriarty in the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yep, you know.
Jared
exactly
Harris.
Yeah, and Lee Pace as well, who was in The Hobbit. He was Legolas's dad.
I think that's...
And he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. But those guys are fantastic actors, which I'm very much excited by.
He is brilliant, but he plays... And it's not really a spoiler because I'm not telling you anything that happens in the storyline. It's more established in the universe. You may dick punch me later. I don't know, Dan. But the Emperor or the Empire and he's actually called the Empire, consists of 3 clones of the same person in 3 life stages. So they have Brother Day, who is played by Lee Pace.
Star Wars, if you're gonna, go.
Just fucking let me finish before you start making little judgments, because this predates Star Wars by about 30 years. So I don't know who's ripping off who there, Tommy boy.
Well, if it was written in 1960, it predates Star Wars by 17 years, to be exact.
So Lee Pace plays Brother Day, who is in the prime of his life. He's in his 30s. Yeah. He is the Emperor. But there's also Brother Dawn, who is a grandfatherly age. He's wizened, but he's from dusk till dawn.
Yeah, I was going to say dawn would be the baby.
The morning. Yeah, yep. Sorry. So he plays Brother Dusk. There's an old man, and I'll tell you what, the actor they've picked to play his Lee
Older
Pace's
version.
character 30 years in the future is perfect. And then there's Brother Dawn, who is a young boy. And so
it's the old Sphinx riddle from Oedipus.
What? Okay.
The Sphinx riddle. Do you not know the Sphinx riddle?
The story of Oedipus,
From
I know.
Oedipus.
The general story of Oedipus.
So when Oedipus is on his way, when he gets to the city where he eventually
the legs,
rules.
Who has has 4 legs, then 2...
What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 legs at night.
So...
Me crawling home from the pub.
Boom. So he's a clone of himself. So...
Yeah.
And as...
That can be interpreted in so many ways. Sorry. I'm just thinking, I know what the 4 legs are. I know what the 4 legs are. I know what the 2 legs are.
But the 3
legs has a whole new meaning.
3 o'clock. Yeah. So I just think it's really cool. I mean, that whole concept of an emperor, or, and you look at current day with, even though we're talking about a certain Russian prime minister trying to change, or president trying to change the laws so that he could stay there forever. And there's plenty of dictatorships around the world already where once you're in for life. Well, these guys found a way to trick the system, and they're in for life, but they clone themselves. They raise themselves in their own image. And so by the time they die from old age, they are replaced by a middle-aged version of themselves with all the same training.
Yeah.
It's inspired. The
this
concept
isn't the what is the Asimov series that you were talking about, like that was that the sci-fi
Foundation.
books? Was it, you just said was it, there's a different one, or was it a different series of books? Were you saying? I remember when you were talking about this a few episodes ago.
So, yeah, I was talking about this. This is Foundation.
Okay,
I've read books in the Foundation universe, but this is the core story, which starts with the book named
that's where
Foundation.
I was getting confused. Yeah, okay, cool.
So this is, he wrote like 30 or 40 books in that universe.
Cool.
I think.
That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, okay, sweet.
Fuck, did he write that many? Good God.
He was so we talked about Frank Herbert, who wrote Dune. Frank Herbert was working as a journalist trying to get published in a book that was basically being overseen by Asimov.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's old school granddaddy of sci-fi.
Yeah.
I've only ever read iRobot. I've never read anything outside of that.
Can I ask, because I love the composer. He did Bear McCreary. How is the soundtrack? Because he's the guy who did the God of War soundtrack.
Yeah.
It didn't stand out, but that's not a bad thing.
Okay, cool. No, that's fine. I understand what you're saying.
If it was discordant, then you would notice.
Yeah.
And it was and it's directed by David S. Goya, and that name kept popping up on my screen at the start of the episodes, and I recognised it.
Yeah,
but I didn't know where
some
from.
shockers.
Yes.
Blade 3, Blade Trinity.
He also wrote Dark Knight.
That's a great film.
That is a horrible film.
Hang on, he wrote
You
Batman
cock-juggling
Begins.
thunder.
I have to mark that. Fuck you.
No, we're allowed one per episode. I get that one because it's a quote. It's a direct quote.
It doesn't play well with the US audience. The Aussie audience, no one gives a shit.
Fair enough. Yeah, we're not allowed to say that over there.
He wrote Dark City. He wrote Dark Knight. He wrote Batman Begins. He's got some pretty good fucking accolades under his belt.
Directing. Have a look at the ones that he's directed, Pete. Don't go to his writing. I'm not criticizing his writing.
He's also directed 4 films: Zigzag, Blade Trinity, The Invisible, and The Unborn.
There you go.
Yeah.
How many of those do you know?
I'm pretty sure he was involved in Heroes, wasn't he? Is that where Goya comes from?
He was involved in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Anyway, I recognise his name. It keeps popping up.
He's been around the traps for years. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's something. It's just fucking. It's like a mind worm. It's on the edge of my brain, and I know I've seen his name pop up. No, it was Kring was on Heroes. I'll figure it out. Anyway, really, really fucking good series and really intricately detailed, interesting, well lived in universe.
Mm-hmm.
There's shit going on in the background that's not central to the plot.
Ooh, he's
it's just
writing the
backdrop,
Sandman series.
which is always a good sign of a good science fiction universe to build a story in. Anyway, that was my 5 minutes.
Definitely want to give it a go.
Minutes.
I'm definitely want to give it a go. The way you've just talked about it, like previously before it coming out, how excited you were. It was just literally like I do want to give it the justice of I don't want to do that thing where you sit down, start an episode, and go, oh fuck, I got to go to work, so I got to leave.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I have the time per
turn
episode.
the lights off, turn the stereo up.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah, and it is one of those, and the special effects are brilliant. Like it's Hollywood quality, like movie quality special effects, but it doesn't take away from the story. Mm-hmm. It is a story first about people and humans and humanity and the expansion of the universe and the repercussions of building a civilization and the inevitable downfall. It's a story of Rome, essentially. Mm-hmm. So,
and if they like, I think this, even just from the trailers, looks beautiful, and I will obviously watch it as well because it's absolutely up my alley. If they had any, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely looking forward to Denis Villeneuve's Dune. If they had given this that same treatment and actually gone through the books to and given it the time that it has, that's my
and the
only
Hollywood
worry.
treatment.
And the Hollywood treatment in this TV series that's got 10 episodes, you can tell the story properly, you can give justice to the characters, and then you can continue it on properly. Like this is, I think this is the future for those sort of epic novels. I don't think.
Well, they're doing the Lord of the Rings. I'm more excited right now for TV series coming out than I am for movies.
This is exactly where I was going with that comment. I think Dune might be the swan song for making these epic novels into
movies, one-shot movies. Yeah,
because it doesn't work like that anymore.
They don't work. They definitely don't work for that 2.5 hour span. They need to be spanned over 8 to 9 hours of episodes. 100%.
And when you're talking about TV these days, TV lasts. I mean, each episode can last 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's 3 episodes is the length of a long Hollywood movie, and you've still got another 7 to go to tell the story.
But they're also getting much more clever in their execution of it as well, because they go, this is a high budget TV series. Yeah. We don't. This is a high. It's a high budget, I guess, but
it definitely is. I can tell you from watching it.
But also the development that needs to happen within that episode. It needs to happen within that episode. There's no...
Yeah.
If it doesn't include spectacular special effects, like people are going to go to the cinemas, and Villeneuve has said Dune is a cinema movie. That then doesn't translate to TV. Like, if you cannot say, oh, hey, we're doing the cinema experience on TV now... But
you know what worries me about that statement, though, Dan? The only thing, and some of us have more than passing interest in cinema, and so we've spent a lot of money on recreating the cinema experience at home. So parking that, the only difference to me between a movie that you have to go to the cinemas to see and a movie that you can still appreciate from home, even on a 45 or a 50-inch TV screen with a sound bar instead of surround sound, is movies that use special effects as the primary vehicle to tell the story. And that worries me about Dune, because Dune is a visual masterpiece second and a story about people first. And if he's flipped that...
I don't think.
I don't think so. What I get from those comments and from what I've seen is the scale, and I don't care how big your fucking TV is. If you're looking at a person on a cinema screen that big and a fucking sandworm that's three quarters of the cinema screen,
you're not going to get that
experience is going to be different. And
unless you
got Benny's set up at home with his little fucking movie room, like
that's
the only way
screen.
you're watching it at a home. It's the THX
well, you know the trick, Dan.
blowing you
All
off
you
your
need to
seat
do-
as your face melts into the popcorn behind you when they do the.
I fucking love that sound. My neighbours hate it. Dan, the trick is just roll your chair close to the TV. It doesn't matter how small the TV is. And at a certain point, that's why
get my fucking point,
I do,
motherfucker.
I do. But that's why a 3-meter screen at Ben's place is as good as the 30-meter screen in the cinema, because you're not sitting 2 meters away from a 3-meter screen. You're sitting 60 meters away from the 20-meter screen. So it's all relative, and the rest is just sound quality.
Luckily for Dan, the June release in Australia has, I'm pretty sure, been pushed back to December 2nd, and
it has.
December 1st.
And we're all out of lockdown in a week.
Everything's
I was going to say we're out in a week, and I'm double vax. So I'll be dead in a year, but I'll get to see June.
We're all double vax now, all three of us. But and we need to have a whole conversation after this about whether or not we're going to continue doing these remote episodes or in person again, or kind of mix it up. So that's another thing that we need to talk about. But if anything, Foundation has made me more worried about June, because it's going to be one of those, you get to the end of the movie and no matter how good it is, it's over so quickly.
And this is exactly why I brought it up, because what you were just telling me about the first 3 episodes of Foundation has me worried about June and how they're going to treat that story and where it's going to end.
They're already talking about a June sequel as well. Like,
but where are they cutting it?
Well, you don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't want to look in to find out where they are cutting it. I just want to go in.
This goes back to like when they released The Hobbit, and then something like, The Hobbit, it's 3 films. It's like, well, it doesn't fucking need to be 3 films. Why are you dragging it out? Are you dragging it out for ticket sales? In fact, The Hobbit is probably the opposite, the one that needs to be 1 film. Like,
The Hobbit was 1 book, though, wasn't it?
And not a long book.
No, it was like 140 pages compared to 840. Like, it didn't need to be 3 films. They added so much extra shit in there. But then there's essential parts of Lord of the Rings that get left out. And I'm not going to go on my fucking Scouring of the Shire rant again for the 14th fucking time. But yeah, like that is, I agree with Dan. It's that problem where you've got such big novels that we would like absolutely ingest growing up. But now they're trying to like smash that into a 3-hour film. Well, it's hard.
June is a big book. I've never read books.
Yeah.
So I spent so much of my late teenage and early 20s reading the Wheel of Time series that when I finally finished the 13 odd books, picking up a novel, a science fiction or a fantasy novel from anyone else felt like reading a kid's book, because most novels are 150 to 300 pages long, and the shortest Wheel of Time book was 800, and the longest was 1400.
So many of those like David and Lee Heading books that I used to read, and those Red Bull series I've talked about, they're doing the Netflix series, but they were like minimum, you're looking at like 400 to 500 pages, like at a minimum. But like that's the size you wanted when you were that age. You wanted to be sucked into this giant fucking wad of paper because you wanted to get fully engrossed in that story.
You pick up the original Dragonlance books, and they're like 200 pages, and they're big font, and there's lots of space. But then you go to June, right? June's 500 pages, just under 490 odd pages. That's a thick fucking book.
Yeah.
And I'm worried they're trying to cram that into a 2.5, 3 hour movie.
I don't think they have. Sorry, I'm coming in halfway through that conversation.
We were just talking about book sizes.
I think they are, from what I understand, they are dividing the original book into 2 films.
Okay.
So that goes back to my comment where I'm worried where they're going to finish this first Denis Villeneuve movie
If they-
because there is no real
I mean, if they
obvious
point.
spot to stop. You're right.
they're gonna,
Exactly.
they're going to pull it
There's-
out in the middle. Like, is there like a middle part where there's like a fight scene?
No. No, we're talking about a sci-fi book that was written in the fucking 60s. Like it's
and that was actually one of the complaints about the original book, right? So we talked a lot about the history the last episode or the episode before. He released it as a serial. He talked about breaking it up, or the publishers were talking about, breaking it up into a trilogy. But the problem they had was there is no good point in the first book to stop. There's no 3-act construct, which is so typical of Hollywood movies and before them novels. There needs to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. There needs to be a climax and an anti-climax. It's a normal structure for a story.
It's going to be a blue balls cut off then. It is literally, you're going to be
I suspect it will be a cliffhanger ending.
It's got it.
And they
if there's
need
no
to
natural
have
point to end,
and they need to have already decided how, if we're successful, how many movies are we going to make to tell the first book?
Yeah.
Or the first 2 books, or the first 3 books. They need to have figured all of that out before they've cut the first movie. Otherwise, we're going to get a shit film.
The biggest problem is you get past. Granted, it's sci-fi, it's huge on scale, and it got some out there ideas. You get to the third book,
Children of
and
Dune.
shit really goes off the walls. Like, crazy off the walls that your average Joe is not going to be walking into a cinema expecting to see a man-worm hybrid god emperor on screen. Like,
you're
But
absolutely right.
they're just not. They're not going to adapt that. That's
the thing. Yeah,
But they have to if they're going to tell the story properly.
Well, no, they're gonna rewrite, and that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. They're gonna, if they want to do a faithful adaptation, but you're not always gonna get a Zack Snyder Watchmen. Like, let's be honest, you're not gonna get that kind of faithful. They're gonna chop and change it, because if something's written in the '60s, it's not exactly applicable to 2021 and the cultural ramifications. Like, you can have timeless series that just people these days who haven't grown up on that shit aren't gonna get. Like, I know people who, if I got them now without ever watched the movies or had anything to do with any of the books, if I got them to read Lord of the Rings, it wouldn't have the significance it had for me growing up.
No.
But
It's also a tough book.
It wouldn't apply to them.
It's a tough
They'd be like,
series of books to read.
So, Tom,
Cimmerillion's harder.
have you got multi-screen there? Can you bring up a Google screen and have a look at something?
Sure.
Put in Leto Leto the second.
Yep.
God Emperor, and have a look at the images.
I'm going to throw it up on the video version of this episode on YouTube, which, even if you only listen to our audio version on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, please stop by our Pixels and Pints YouTube channel.
June wiki. Hold on, this is going to get weird.
Just shush for a second, Tom. I've only got 1 second left. If you're an avid listener to our show, please spend 10 seconds, find us on YouTube and subscribe, even if you don't intend to watch the video version, because it at least gets our subscriber count up, which we need for various reasons.
Can I share my screen, because I've got it up?
Yeah, you can share it. It's just the audience can't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I can describe it for you.
You're looking at
bring it up. Bring it up.
Oh, am I ever?
Oh my god, that Saison's amazing.
I'm going full screen for this.
I'm going to talk about next beer after this.
Yes, that is Leto II, the God Emperor of June. This is what I'm talking about.
So
inspiration.
For the people listening, I'm going to describe this in the only way I can. If you could imagine Jabba the Hutt's body and tail in a grey scale, and then, like, the thinnest
Say
arms.
what you're thinking.
I'm getting to it. Don't worry, I'm moving up the body. Really thin pin arms of, like, some,
But they're full-length arms.
Full-length human arms.
Full
They're
man-length arms,
very human arms, but they're very thin. And then you've got the Dune worm gaping maw.
No, that's the labia majora.
Oh, fuck, don't ruin it. I was leading up to it. Damn, Peter, you came early. Just imagine a vagina, but instead of a clitoris at the top, you've got a bald man with blue eyes looking like a creepy fuck. And then he's got some coronavirus little hairs above him. Like, shit got fucking weird real quick. You're going
And
from...
this is what I mean. This is not... The general public is not going to accept this in a multi-million... Like, $200 million
no way
Hollywood
is that going to
movie.
get across the board.
No.
No one,
That's
no one
exactly
wants
it.
to see the vag worm. No one.
And there's
Yeah.
other versions of this that look less vaginal, or vaginal, whichever way you want to pronounce it, and a
Vaginal,
little
please,
less
yes.
Jabba the Hutt. But
There's
but
got to
in
be an
no-
episode title in this somewhere.
Can
I
I
don't
just
think
say,
you're gonna get away
if
with
this,
the vag
if this
worm.
walked up to me, this is what I would expect it to say. Just that. Just Jesus fucking Christ. But it'd probably be a little bit more high pitched. It'd be
there is no version of Leto II in the God
I'm not
Emperor
sharing
form
that screen anymore.
that
That's
is
disgusting.
going to be
That is
acceptable to a cinema going audience.
it
They're
gets
not going
worse.
to get it.
the fan art gets worse. Oh god.
Fan art always does. Fan art always does. How did we get
no.
from Foundation to... Actually, it's a pretty obvious
Because
line.
it was because I was talking about how that
The
sounds
scope and
fantastic. Foundation sounds fantastic, and how I'm worried about the treatment of the Villeneuve's going to do a beautiful cinematic job of Dune.
Yeah.
But the going past the first book, there is more to this world than the first book. And it's an amazing world, and the first book barely touches on it. The first book
And yet,
is
that's the only story that has been retold so many times through the silver screen.
Paul's story is so short in the grand scheme of the entire Dune epic. It's this tiny cliff note in obviously he's a very important cliff note, but it's a tiny cliff note in the entire story, and Leto is the linchpin of the most of the books afterwards, and even going into the Brian Herbert ones that go afterwards, and everything like that. I mean, they roll into clones and everything from there. But
we have done well, because one of the brewers at Batch did come up to me the other day and go, "Hey mate, I did end up listening to your podcast the other day after you shared it, and I went back and watched the 1980s Dune movie against everyone's wishes." Because he was like, "I've never seen it, and I really want to be prepared." But he was like,
"What's his name? Can we give him a shout out?"
There's Dubsy. Hey Dubsy, how are ya? Yeah,
Dubsy.
Dubsy.
All right.
But yes, he went back and watched it, and he said it was weird, but I enjoyed it. So that's probably about as good a review as you're going to get of someone going in blind.
It wasn't a good, it's not a modern day adaptation of a book into a movie. Hollywood has finessed its ability to do that. I have to say, I'm excited. Foundation, the announcement of the new Lord of the Rings series coming out late next year, and we're talking late next year. Yeah. The Wheel of Time series, I'm excited that we're entering into even Mandalorian and the Book of Fett, and I'm super excited. We're now entering into a phase of Hollywood where there is no, and we've talked about this a season ago. There's no longer a line between Hollywood movies and Hollywood TV. It's now about what's the most appropriate vehicle to tell the story we're trying to tell. I'm excited that that Hollywood writers have finally acknowledged that their original IPs aren't good enough to be coming out often enough for them not to go back and revisit literary artworks that we've overlooked for years. We've drawn inspiration from, but we've overlooked in terms of adaptation. Source material we're now picking is
maybe they were more
brilliant.
ahead of their time, that they were just too hard to bring onto the screen.
Oh no, definitely. It's very difficult to take some of the best books that we read and turn them into the best movies that we would watch, or the best TV series. It is extremely difficult, and it's taken a lot of... It's not just about the technology, it's not just about special effects, it's also about the way that we consume TV these days has changed, and it lends itself to this kind of episodic, non-episodic. It's not serialized content anymore. It's episodic, but it's story-driven. I think we've become more sophisticated, or Hollywood's become more sophisticated in the way that they tell stories. And I think audiences have been conditioned to grasp a more complex story through episodic content as a TV series than they were 20 years ago. No one would have.
I think that God, what was that weird sci-fi one that we watched?
The golden
God.
with the bronze chick. And
the bronze lady.
The Swedish.
was that was called?
Raised by Wolves.
Raised by Wolves. Like if that isn't the absolute
pushing the
pinnacle of
edge.
what you were talking about here, like there was absolutely no way that would have been in any way, shape, or form a successful movie.
Oh fuck no! It's too slow.
And but just like even just the content of it, like how would you even go to promote that as a movie? Because nothing that they
not a
do
self-contained
with those
story.
visuals, screams.
I think Dan just froze.
I've dropped out.
Dan has been eaten by Leto the Emperor. He's been swallowed by the Huttese vagina.
We've lost him. Worm.
Yeah.
We've lost Dan.
He's the mighty Chewbacca.
We'll carry on regard.
Oh no,
Have we got him back? He's back. He's back.
Wow.
We're having
We thought he got eaten.
You just
got
did
eaten by the
you just did a
badge worm.
Boba Fett and escaped from Leto the Emperor. You just shot your way out of that Sarlacc pit. Pew, 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 pew.
Where I was going was the Raised by Wolves. There was nothing within that, and I'm purely working on my mind for promotions of things. There's nothing in there other than the bronze necromancer that would have been remotely appealing to put on a poster.
Yeah, right.
A cinema poster. Like
I
there is nothing there that would have.
It would have been a Caravan of Courage style poster with the necromancer smack in the middle.
And how do you even tagline any of that? And I thought that was a great series. I thought it was original. I think it was something different. I thought it was well acted and well executed.
The last episode was like I took an acid
Fucking
tab.
bonkers. Yeah.
I took an acid tab whilst already drunk, and then did a line of Special K or something. I don't know. There's definitely some mixed fucking strong drugs involved.
Yeah, I have a kind of a feeling.
I've ever done most of those drugs.
I have a feeling
Today.
the only thing with that last episode, in my mind, was maybe they got wind that they weren't going to get a second season.
But they have been renewed.
Oh, they have been greenlit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I want to see how that fucking crazy, trippy shit fucking plays out.
The worm was the only thing that just...
Android-born worm that took them through the center of the earth to a fucking
tropical... It just didn't make any
zone.
sense. It just didn't make any sense.
No,
like
it
was
didn't.
just...
It didn't.
It's like so... It just broke from its own storyline that it's either going to be... It's all going to make sense in the first episode of Season 2, or it's a dead series. It's going to be one of the two. It can't be anything in between.
Yeah.
We should talk about our fourth beer,
Yes.
please.
I apologise for hijacking that 5-minute foundation, but I think
every
good.
now and
That
then
was
we go from zany stupidity in this podcast to serious intellectual discourse about the shit that we love, and I think that was that latter.
I think it was some of my best
I
content.
think it
to be
was the
honest.
latter,
I think
yeah.
I was really the linchpin of that entire conversation. I think.
No, you definitely were. What fucking beer are you drinking, Tom?
I've got to dry the can before I can show it because it'll be so.
Yeah, I'm drying the can as well. Yeah, it's
You guys fucking rub
svetty.
your cans. I'll introduce
I'll rub
mine.
my cans, all right. I am drinking, which I think is a great name for a beer, by the way. It is The Floor is Lava from Range Brewing.
I hate that ad on YouTube at the moment.
Have you seen, so the Corridor Crew guys, there's one guy, Clint, that was one of the visual effects artists, and he did a series with some friends of his that was they got home and someone calls The Floor is Lava, and they jump on the couches, and then he goes in and adds all the visual effects
lava?
of the lava coming
I
out.
haven't seen it, but that's fucking
jumping
cool.
from couches and shit.
Have you seen the overly promoted Nest camera ads on YouTube at the moment about the dog running around in the house and the floor is lava, the floor is lava. Oh, I fell in love. No, it's really fucking
I got
annoying.
YouTube Premium, so I don't get ads. That's very
It's
fancy.
one, you know what? It's one subscription I refuse to fucking pay for. People are out there creating their own
free with my
original
phone,
content,
so-
and some corporate
Anyway,
bastards
I'm
are
drinking
making a
The
million
Floor
out
is
of it.
Lava. It is a red IPA from Range Brewing in Queensland. It is dry hop with Citra and Mosaic, as well as... Oh, fuck it. Well, I've already been roasted for my pronunciation.
Slowly roasted.
Kahia Nelson and the Brew Blends created by Freestyle Hops.
Okay. That's definitely more than like a full Nelson. A Kahia Nelson.
No, I think a Kahia Nelson, it's a 3/4 Nelson.
It's got a dick punch built in.
It's not a Nelson Sauvon. But anyway, it's got Bruce. G'day, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah, it is a very malty classic red IPA. Look at that. That is nummy nums.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Big sip of that one. That is 7.1%. So how good for me? It's beautiful malted kind of base. It's got a little bit of a hoppy punch to it. There's a little bit of... This has been sitting in the fridge for a week or two. But it's still got a little bit of that kind of hot punch to it. Nothing overpowering. Not too much of that usual red IPA mandarin citrus. It's a little green, but it's not that overpowering mandarin citrus. It's more about the malt. It's really, really tasty. Well done. Range again. Also, just great name, Flora's Lava. But that's what I'm drinking. It's my last beer.
You talk about yours, Peter. I'm going to get another one.
Dan sink pouring.
I'm definitely at the point where
shit beers will not be tolerated.
Well, yeah, but I even the cost, this can probably cost me $6. Fucking whatever. But I don't want to sit here and drink a full glass of something that I'm not.
You don't enjoy. And there's enough really good quality, enjoyable craft beer in Australia now that you don't have to.
Is it that the beer isn't enjoyable, or do you think it was mishandled? See, this is my big thing at the moment because I know.
Wait a minute. Can you can't black my screen at all, Pete?
You can turn your camera off.
You can turn your camera off, yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to turn my camera off for a sec so I can see if I can.
Because I'll continue my point. I know plenty of craft bottle shops, and granted, refrigeration is fucking expensive, but the amount of really, what I would say, really quality craft bottle shops that don't store all their, especially really hop forward beers in a chilled environment, but then still charge you premium price. I personally have a big issue with, because I'm sorry, you're not treating that beer right. And I may be a bit of a purist, and I may
no,
but
absolutely not. People are paying a premium. $6 is cheap for a fucking can of beer today. I'm sorry, but I go to Beer Cartel, and it's $13.50 is the standard price now for a can of beer.
Oh, and $6 was just a guess, by the way. That was a.
Yeah,
but it adds to that argument, because there are places that you go in, they have a dump bin, and you're like, cool. If they've marked it down from the original price of $8-9 for a 330ml can, which is pretty standard these days, and they've marked it down to $4, $5, $6, you're like, yeah, sure, okay, cool. It's a markdown. I understand that. It's reduced to clear. You get in the fucking Woolies and
for a
Coles.
reason.
You buy it because you're like, fuck it, why not? I'll chuck it in.
And yet, I've got the same problem. Mate, I ordered milk this morning from Woolworths now, and it was warm when it was delivered. The milk was fucking warm. It doesn't have to travel that far.
So many places tell you, treat your beer like milk.
Like food.
Yeah, it's written on the top of the one drop. The
90% of the cans you get today. But there are so many, and I understand that it is hard to run an independent bottle shop where you're not getting all those fucking throwbacks from the big boys, like CUB and Line, But at the same time, don't try and tell us that you're charging us a premium for a beer and I may offend fucking half the inner west fucking bottle shops here, and I don't care, I'll fight you all. But they do charge a premium for those beers, and they're not outrageous prices. They are the prices they should be based on markups of recommended retail price.
The market bears the price.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, if you're going to be putting a fucking hop forward beer on a shelf in maybe it's air conditioned, maybe you don't turn the air conditioner on that day, but it's in a super a center, and then you're expecting me to pay the full price that I pay for something that's chilled. I'm probably going to tell you to go fuck yourself. And I think I have a right to. You shouldn't be charging the same for that product if you're not refrigerating it.
I totally agree. Dan, what was the result, mate? You disappeared.
Best before was 7th of 5th, 22. So if they
should still be good.
If they've put
a year on it,
12 months on it, it's 6 months old.
5 months.
Well, not quite
5.
6 months.
Yeah.
But it's oxidized. It's
Okay.
not a
That's a canning. That's
not
a
a
canning
viable
issue. That's
product
before it's
anymore.
come out. Yeah.
It's a hazy IPA. I was really quite excited because it's a beautiful can. It's a printed can, and it's a beautiful can. And I would have really liked to have showed the can.
But that could also be one can out of an entire run. So
it could be. It could definitely be. It definitely be. And I know my brewery has been guilty. We've had single cans come through from people.
Yeah,
They've sent us
100%.
photos, and we've gone, oh yeah, that's definitely oxidized from like the picture you're showing, but the ones we have here are fucking beautiful. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So the canning lines can fault. They can stall. Things can go wrong. Things can soak up more oxygen. And that's not a fault. So with all that in mind, I
Let's
don't
not
want
show the
to
can.
show what
Yeah,
this
100%.
product
Sure.
is. So I'm going to mute, and I'm going to go and grab another one.
All right, I'll
well,
talk
in that
about
time,
my
we'll talk about what
fourth.
Pete's drinking
Yeah.
after
Oh,
my fucking rant about bottle shops.
It's all right. You get ranty. It's all good.
I'll go Wolverine on them. Shing shing, sneaky sneaky, snoy snoy.
So I am drinking small batch.
Oh,
Calabathon.
fuck those guys! What a bunch of.
Fuck those guys. That's the second one. You can't say the second time. You
Sorry to
muggle
our
bastard
American listeners. I am sorry.
It's all right. It's muted anyway.
Okay.
Calabathon batch with One Drop Brewing, raspberry and lime Imperial Saison, which is, I mean, the small batch label's
yeah,
kind
this
of
is the
pointless to
label.
show you. It's a 7.7% Saison. It's obviously raspberry and lime.
Yep.
In Lime. It is fucking spectacular. Like, I am genuinely impressed because, and Tom's video has currently been disabled due to internet quality issues, although on the recording it'll come through fine, but I'm looking at a blank screen because Dan's not here either. It is...
Oh, that's because of all the pornography I'm watching in the background.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And Grinder's probably running on your phone as well.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get that
This
dick.
it's like drinking all... It's like... And your video came back just then. That's perfect.
Hello,
You're all about
boys.
that dick. Just in time for a profile photo. It is like drinking raspberry juice. It has that... That's a bad analogy because...
actually, it leads me to my question for you. So, are you a fan of Saisons?
No, you hadn't let me finish, Tom.
Oh, fine.
Let me
I'll have a
finish.
question for you
Because what I was going to say is, I typically fucking hate Saisons.
Well, that's
but I
the exact
can't
point I was about
imagine
to
this
make.
beer... I can't imagine this beer in any other style working. It reminds me of raspberry ice cream that you get from high-end restaurants where it's got that real tart, thick raspberry flavour to it. And it is...
No, I don't get to go to high-end restaurants, Peter.
Well, neither do I anymore because we're in
Just a
lockdown. For the
lowly
last 50
bartender.
I'm still waiting for the second week of this goddamn lockdown. We've lost a premiere in the 2-week lockdown that we've been stuck in.
Oh, but how happy was she to leave? Like, you haven't seen her that happy in fucking months. She was cheery. And
I don't fucking blame her. What a shit job.
oh
Anyway.
yeah, fuck yeah. You cannot blame
like,
her. Anyway,
worst time in history, Dan. And
We
I mean, it's
try and
so
stay
bad,
away
in
from-
fact, that our Prime Minister just fucks off on holidays constantly throughout the whole
And you buy some
pandemic,
nuclear
right?
subs. Because it's the hunt for Red October.
That's right.
Oh, hello. That is clear as
Wow.
fucking day.
Yeah. But this beer is spectacular, I have to say. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'll be pissed by the end of it because it is 7.7%.
The reason I
I would
asked
sit
you
on
if
this,
you,
though.
if you do enjoy Saisons is because I'm not the biggest Saison fan. I know.
I am.
I can't stand them.
But you can really enjoy this beer, can't you? I
Very
think
much.
the fruit flavors they've added to that is the perfect intro to a Saison. And I said this to both brewers. I said, look, this is a great way for people who are unsure about jumping into Saisons, because I got to admit, in the craft beer community, if you don't like Saisons, you're not up with the fucking hoity-toity fun fanboy fucking
None of us have a
wankers.
fucking man bun. I don't think
Shut
we
up,
give a
Dan. I
shit.
can see your face. It's not about you. You're a brewer. You're exempt because you actually know what you're doing. I'm talking about the fucking wankers who just spend money on beer and who think, they think because they buy a fucking bucket load of Saisons, whether or not they actually show how much they enjoy them, because they drop the names of the breweries that they've bought these saisons from, being like, man, look at me, I bought a saison. I'm the most fancy man in all the land.
It's a highbrow beer. It's
not
what the fucking movement's about.
But like, I struggle with saisons. I struggle with wheat beers. I've said that. I can understand the complexities behind them. I can understand the flavor profiles. I can understand how people would enjoy them. I personally don't enjoy them, but this is the beer for me. As a, it's pretty heavily, knowing One Drop, it's pretty heavily fruited, because they love to fucking fruit the shit out of things, and God love them for it. But it is a really good way to introduce people into that style of beer without making them feel alienated and making them feel like they can't enjoy it. And because they can't enjoy it, they're not cool enough to be in those kind of craft beer communities. I really think it's a great way to bring those old world styles.
I don't think it's a gateway drug. I don't think you're going to.
I'm not saying it's a gateway drug. I'm saying
it's
for people who are already enjoying craft beer. It's a great way for them to feel like they're getting into those like.
How many people do you realistically think are feeling ostracized?
I work in a fucking brewery, man. I deal with these fucking dickheads all the time. No, I do 100%. I hear it, because I hear people shit on on beers in breweries, and working in a bar that sells craft beer for the last 6 years. And
I just feel like it's a little myopic. I don't think there's that many people out there who actually feel ostracized because they don't enjoy saison, but all of their craft 100% mates
do, man, because they don't feel like because the craft beer internet community is so almost borderline violent.
But you could leave out the first two words of that sentence and it'd still be true.
But I'm not talking about the entire internet. I'm talking about a very specific community that people are trying to get into and want to be a part of, and it is fucking polarizing. It is fucking polarizing for those dudes who drop hundreds of dollars on beer orders and then fucking like slam it in your face like they're the greatest thing to craft beer, but they've never contributed a single thing. And they're the dickheads that people in hospitality have to fucking deal with every day, who think they're the coolest thing that craft beer has created since.
I just wanted to talk about the beer.
Cryo hops. No, sorry, you've got me on a tangent now, and I'm going to go about
again.
And it is a problem, and it really is a problem in the craft beer community, and that's why people don't get into beer. And there are people who are running breweries who are making fucking amazing beers, but they're not getting the kind of
who don't get picked up by the movement. Yeah. I hear you. I just look. All I was going to say about the beer was, I can't imagine it being any other style but a saison, but not because I think this is the perfect example where the amount of raspberry, which is a tart fruit to start with, right? And the lime adds to that bittery, soury tartness. And saison does have kind of those sorts of notes. I think the juice integrates perfectly with the saison yeast and vice versa. Yeah. So it's not that it complements, that it's a nice seamless kind of integration between the two. You couldn't have it any other way. It is a great fucking beer. It wouldn't be that bitter. It wouldn't be that sour. It wouldn't have that true to life raspberry flavor if it was any other style. It's a fucking great beer. I'd go and smash 3 more cans. I'd be passed out, but I'd enjoy them.
Can I just interject my 2 cents into this conversation here? Too?
Please.
I completely 110% agree with Tom. And Pete, the only thing that I want to point out here is it's not just an online community. It's people that are at these venues or they want to be part of the community and the world, and like actual social groups that go to bars and drink these beers, and they are actually they end up being ostracized by these people where they just showboat themselves about, oh well, if we're going down the saison train, I've had the saison from this Belgian brewery or this French brewery or this or that, and it's and they might not like that style, and it's just it's
a hard style to get into. Like
it's a subjective thing. It's across the board, and it's one of those styles that does alienate people. It is an enormous dividing style.
I've never been a fan, and I've been very vocal about it, and I don't care how many people I don't care about don't like me because of it.
Yeah, but
I get what you're saying.
You're a pretty strong-willed guy. Let's put it out there.
I
There are
get
a
what
lot
you're
of
saying.
people. There are a lot of people who
I-
are trying to get into beer who walk into some
but
very
beer's-
very
like,
established
I've said this
bars
before.
and get bullied out. Get bullied out.
So Pete, if you went into a beer group with that opinion, I guarantee you would be ostracized from that group. You would not be invited to events, and they would push you out just for having that opinion.
And the
irony
is...
and I know you're going to say that you if that's the people, it's not the right fucking people, and blah blah
No,
blah blah.
no, that's not what I was going to say.
If this is the premier group of people in the beer industry, and they are out there. And obviously, me and Tom are definitely skirting around, and I'm guarantee we're thinking of the same groups.
Yep.
I've got some names in mind, and
they
right now.
They
I'm pretty
do
sure
exist.
I'm on the Facebook group too.
Yeah.
And you would be fucking blackballed from these groups for having that
hard.
opinion. But that is your opinion, and you're allowed to have that opinion.
That's the beauty about the craft industry, right? Is there is a beer for fucking everybody, and it's well made, it's well thought about, and there's 10 brewers thinking up new recipes for that style, right?
But
I
also,
cop a lot of shit.
It's the dark side
loving
of the craft
sours.
beer industry is that there is that beer, and if you don't agree with what the it's a popular contest
It's just
sometimes.
a fucking alcoholic.
Oh no,
beverage.
no,
Like,
it is. It
it's
is.
So
They're fucking
ridiculous.
idiots, and
I cop shit for.
I will
I cop
fight them
shit.
till the day I die because I actually currently enjoy it. But,
I get called names that you would not throw around lightly on Oxford Street, because I enjoy sours. I don't give a fuck. It's my taste. That's what I enjoy. Like, I don't give a fuck if you think it's girly. Your opinion doesn't really affect my enjoyment.
Yeah.
Or my taste buds. They're not listening to your bullshit. So just drink the fucking
you
beer.
are a
Enjoy
sour.
drinking. That's true.
that's a whole different thing. That's not just reflecting his beer choice.
You guys, honestly, I'm going to go take a leak. Dan, what are you drinking so I can write it down before I go?
I'll write it down while you go for a pee. I know how to update a live document.
Akasha Blood Orange Gose. It's good. It's clean. It's orangey.
Orangey.
Orange.
Actually, while you go, yeah, sorry.
It's orangey. It's super clean. Super clean.
So we were talking
clean,
about-
It's
we were-
sharp. It's crisp. It's good. Really good.
The blood orange Gose that we were talking about before from the unnamed American brew because we didn't have it. I found mine was super carbonated. Like it really.
Oh, okay.
Like I was struggling with it. Not struggling with it, but I just found like I was like, ooh, that's a bit. Yeah, it's not sitting exactly well.
This is a super palate cleanser.
Nice.
It's just would be incredibly smashable. I wouldn't continuously drink them, but I would very happily inject them into like
Your veins.
every third or fourth beer. Yeah, in my intravenously. I don't know. It's actually I mean it's got to be on it 4.5%. I mean that's my go-to. Anywhere between 4.5% and 5.5% is my go-to beers, and it's just good. It's just beautiful and clean. It delivers on the flavor.
Also,
it
it's
delivers
coming
on
out to blood orange season as well. It's perfect time for it. Like
I mean this
they'd
is
be
good.
prime right now.
And I'm glad that was the one I went with in the end.
Yeah, nice.
Really glad. Really glad.
While Poiter is having a urination, obviously you've played it, and I'm currently playing Days Gone.
Yes.
I'm so upset that I've slept on this game and I didn't get into it sooner. I'm really disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
It is a
it's a
fucking
good game.
phenomenal game.
Yeah,
The
good
story is fantastic.
Yeah.
The hordes, as we've said in messages, like I absolutely obliterated one this morning where I just laced proximity mines across the entrance and then threw a fucking bunch of Molotovs in there.
I know.
Like, now I'm powerful enough. Yeah, sweet. I found one sleeping and went for it.
Yeah, and that's the horrifying thing too about you. You can find them sleeping, so you can go into this cave or cavern or just exploring in the world, and you can literally find these hordes. Depending on the time of day, you can literally find them asleep together.
Yeah.
Or you can get into the middle of the den and they're not in there, and then you can be on your way out, and literally the horde will be coming
Returning,
through the entrance back in. And I've done that, and it is fucking, and they don't see you because until they see you, they don't run.
Yeah.
But if you're on your way out of their area and they're on the way back in,
them. Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, good God, I am not ready for this, and I am not getting out.
I am out of ammo. I am out of fucking like throwables. I don't have any distractors. Fuck. I had that. So the first one I found was the one at the train. You went to the Nero thing at the train, and they were all in the train. And I was like, oh, there's just a few in the train. I'll just pot shot them off and just... And all of a sudden, fucking 50 of these screaming fucking... Yeah, Jesus Christ. And then I'd get off, like I'd run, and my bike just happened to be there so I could get on it, and I'd zoom away, and then I'd come back and try and shoot them. You can't. You need to plan. And it's beautiful tactics. But also at the same time, as we spoke about in messages, it's just like... You feel a bit sadistic because you're like, oh, I'm going to plan these motherfuckers out. Like, I've died 3 times to these guys, but I know if I can run around this bit before they catch me, this swarming mob of fucking screeching...
We're talking about Days End.
Days Gone, yeah.
Days Gone, sorry.
Which, Pete, you should add to your list. It's very, very enjoyable.
I've downloaded it.
I slept on this game, and I'm not proud of myself for doing it. I should have played it when it came out. There are some beautiful tactical things. The music is haunting and beautiful at the same time. I did one of my favorite scenes so far is when you finally ride north, and then they have that soloist guitarist song come through. It's just like, because it removes, so you have a fuel gauge on your motorbike, Pete, because you play as a biker. But for some of these cutscenes, they remove the fuel gauge, so you can just feel like you're going for a ride. And it feels like you're going for a ride, and you're going through beautiful, like, Oregon, so, like, pine forests, mountains, winding roads, dirt trails.
It's interesting topic. It's
just
come up
it's
for me.
Beautiful, yeah.
I wanted to ask Dan this the other day, because you guys were talking about Days Gone, and you mentioned that you'd run out of gas. I had no idea it was built around the game features a motorcycle, but I've had the itch to ride a Harley again, and I was going to ask Dan, because Dan's a mad, he rode Harleys for a lot longer than I did. It was only about a 5-year period in my life. Do you ever get the fucking itch to go and buy another Harley?
It's and
every other day when I look at that face.
The funny thing is, you play these games, and actually, there's not been too many games where you have had a bike like that and been in these open environments with, or even
just a ride, a mount that you customize so heavily as this.
Yeah, but I mean an actual machine, like an actual motorbike, and what Tom is talking about there is the exact thing. It's just the answer. The short answer is yes, Pete, 100%, and constantly. Yeah. It's that and it's that cliched, that
it's
beautiful open road. It's the everything. It's the feeling of
the wind whipping past and
going to a destination. Like we used to literally finish work on a Friday, and we would have decided at lunchtime we're riding to Queensland. And we would make a quick fucking pit stop. Everybody would quickly disperse after work, grab their shit, and I mean, you've got a bike. You're not carrying much on your bike.
Yeah.
You'd quickly disperse after work. You'd meet back at the shop, and then you'd just go. You would just hit the road at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and you would just ride. And you would go and you would make some pit stops for fucking coffee or fucking, I didn't drink coffee in those days, so Red Bull.
Keep you awake.
Red Bull. And you would just go, and you would be Saturday morning. You would hit Queensland. You would do a rally, or you would do a drag race or something. Sunday night, you'd fucking hit the road again, or Sunday afternoon, you'd hit the road again, and you'd head back home. And this is probably my love of the M1 freeway.
Yep.
It's such a beautiful stretch of road to head back into Sydney. So you would always know.
Once you hit that fucking mad hill on the way down from Newcastle or
Yeah.
Actually, it's way
Gosford.
past that. It's Gosford.
Yeah, it's like Gosford range. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. You knew that stretch of road so well. So as soon as you hit that M1 heading back in, you had a time frame in your head.
Yeah.
And you knew that, okay, I'm here. This is what this is going to look like till I got home. And, I mean...
Turn left at Hornsby, Epping Road all the way.
Yeah, and it is a feeling and something that if people have never done it, they won't understand.
Yeah.
But
I miss it.
It's a little bit of a haunting experience that is, and being on a bike rather than a car. In a car, most of the time you're with someone. And
I was going to say, but even alone, like I've driven cars, and I own a car now that, it's faster than most Lamborghinis
own a tank, to
and
be honest.
Ferraris on the road. Unless you're going to go spend $500,000 on a car, the 4-wheel drive that I'm driving now, the daily driver, will destroy it off the line. But there is nothing like the feeling of getting on a fucking Harley and just opening the throttle. It is a totally different experience. It's the difference between a dual shock and the dual sense controller.
It's you and the machine. It's absolutely, when you're on a bike, it's you and the machine. And if you fuck
don't get
up
that in
on
the
that
car 'cause
machine,
you're dead.
Yeah.
you're dead.
You're dead. That's it. There's no ifs, buts, or whys.
No.
Can't negotiate with that shit.
No, it's
Totally
you.
agree.
It's you working with that machine and working in tandem with that machine. And Days Gone does such a beautiful job, and I am in love with that drifter bike. And
It reminds
I have
me,
done so much searching online
especially
for
the
somebody
way-
who could build me a drifter bike.
especially the way you go through the way you rebuild the bike, because you start with there's a scene at the start of the game where you have like your bike, but then you lose it. So like standard kind of gameplay, you have to go and rebuild it from the start up.
Yeah.
And even myself going through it now, and I'm maybe I don't even know if I'm halfway through the upgradables for it, but I recently got one of the most powerful engines, and it is a light speed jump in terms of like how that bike feels, and it's in a game. Like, it's beautifully crafted.
It looks, and I haven't played the game. I know you two have, but to me it looks like they took the concept of Daryl in the original seasons of Walking Dead and turned that into a video
there
game.
are definitely some crossover kind of themes to that.
Podcast Cat has joined the show for the first time in a long time. It's too hot in my bedroom, in my study at the moment, to leave the door closed. And the reason I always leave the door closed lately is because the fucking cats.
Classic cats.
So no, she's on the show.
No. It definitely. Yeah, I can see exactly what you're talking about in terms of Daryl coming in. Like, you feel that one of the first special weapons you get is a crossbow. It's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is.
And he was on a Harley at the start of the series. Like the first couple of seasons, he was on a Harley.
And I mean, he's had drifter bikes. I mean, I think in season, Louise is just watching season 9 or something like that.
Oh, Jesus.
9 or 10, and he has a very similar drifter bike to
he definitely gets
John.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's there's something about that game there's so many things that can go wrong in a game, and they can be little things, and they can make you feel detached. But Days Gone is definitely one of those sleeper games that does 99.5% of those things right.
Yeah,
I remember when it was announced at E3 a couple of years ago.
100%. Yeah, I remember it came
and
out.
we
Like,
looked at
that sounded really cool.
We looked at the trailer.
Fucking delivered on everything that they showed in that trailer. They fucking delivered on, and that is very rare.
I'm sure we watched the trailer and talked about it briefly, and it wasn't that big a deal. Like, it's another zombie game, and it was at the time where zombies were just saturating pop culture.
Oversaturated to the fuck. Yeah.
But the thing that really cements this is Deke is a good character, and he's likable, and he's an outlaw, and he's a 1%er, but in this world, and everything,
he still has a code of honor.
There's no choices in this. Everything is scripted. You don't get dialogue choices. Everything that he says is scripted, but you don't feel detached from what he says and how he acts in this world, which goes to the script writers.
I actually have a little bit about the script and the voice acting. There are a fair few times where I feel like I am meant to be on the bike having a conversation, and the voice acting is just yelling into the radio. Because when you're riding the bike, he has to yell to get into the two-way radio just to make himself heard. There are times when I've literally been walking around a camp, but I think for that thing, that like scripted audio, I'm meant to be riding, and he is screaming his fucking head off. Or like my bike stopped and he's still screaming, like, and it's just like it's a bit of a weird juxtaposition. I've already said in the chat that I still like I'm a good 20 hours into the game. I'm still struggling not to hear Star Killer and fucking Maul from Rebels in his voice. And his delivery sometimes is. I personally like Sam Witwer's voice. I find it quite pleasant to listen to, but I find some of the times he really speeds up his delivery on some of the words when I think it should be a bit more slowed. I don't know. There's something I can't quite place my finger on it, but there's something about his delivery of those voice lines that doesn't sit right. But yeah, especially when he's like, when you're getting the Copeland's radio things, and then he's like, he'll be listening to the radio on his bike. This is actually the prime example. So he's listening to the radio on his bike, and then you'll get off and go pick up like some body parts or whatever, go get some ears and whatever. But he's still screaming into his like bike radio at the character Copeland about his like thing, and it's just like, dude, no one's around. You're not on your bike. Are you okay? Do you need to talk about this? Like, do you need to get this out? I don't know if it's just like a weird coding thing, but there's a few times where it's really broken.
Battlestar?
Yeah, Battlestar Crashdown.
Yeah, so it's broken. It's broken that immersion for me. It's just like
he was in Being Human, which no one watched but me. That was a brilliant series.
Yeah. So Sam Witwer, he's a brilliant actor. I can't fault him. I think it's just. I think it was the way they were thinking that people would be playing those sections of the game. Yeah, that it's automatically meant to be screaming on my bike or walking around talking into my radio. But
so it's pre Spider-Man 4 where the guy recorded 2 lines for every line of dialogue.
That is the next level audio.
Above and beyond. So I think that now is the baseline.
But this is a pretty stark contrast though. Like,
yeah, I didn't experience that, so I'm actually going to go back into it now because I'll
record it the next time. I'll record it the next time it happens. But yeah,
I haven't cleared out all the hordes, so I'm interested about my skill level now going back in after about 12 months of being out.
Yeah, definitely
to try and clear out some hordes. So I'm going to dive back in, and I'll now notice. I'll be aware of what that's the audio.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was just I don't know where it came from, but it was just I don't know if it was like because I was playing it on the PS5 and it was a PS4 game, they didn't have like a PS5 upgrade or whatever. But there was just a few moments where it was just like I'm not screaming down the highway on my motorcycle. You don't need to be screaming into the radio, or and there's just a few weird funny. Like his voice lines where it should be in terms of the tone of what he's actually trying to get across. He's very short, sharp, and like almost breathless, like in the way he delivers it. But it's a very calm scene. It's a very, you guys are standing there talking, and you haven't like just jumped off your bike after something amazing's happened. It's like you've kind of cruised through town and been like, hey champ, what's going on? And he's just like, yeah, anyway, it's just like, okay, calm down, Deacon.
You're playing on the PS5 or the PS4?
PS4 game on the PS5. So yeah, it didn't have a upgrade for the
upgrade. Okay.
Yeah.
Watching the trailers, and there's a whole Reddit movement since they added it to the PlayStation Plus free list. at the moment. A whole bunch of people that had never played the game are all saying the same thing.
100%.
That it was a sleeper, and they'd never really. The game had never stood out, but they're so glad that they put it up for free because it's
100%. I'm on that thing. I'm so glad that I. That said, if I'd had the chance, trailers didn't do anything for me, but I think that was probably a bit of like fatigue from Walking Dead. But if
that was around the same time,
if I had just stumbled across this game and played a trial or like did the first level, like it was like a free trial, which I heard they're bringing back to the PS5 demos and trials of games.
Yep.
I would have 100% paid full money for this.
Makes me want to go back. Makes me want to go back. I don't know why, but the footage I've seen recently makes me want to go back and play Last of Us 2. Now, I never finished Last of Us 1, so I really need to go all the way back and finish that.
Dude.
Well, I haven't played 2, so...
But like
Both
in terms
of
of
dude, what?
but it's another God of War, right? Like it's another story-driven video game. Last of Us 1. That is one example because
they just released the first screen grab of the HBO Last of Us TV show based around Joel and Ellie.
Oh, really? I didn't know they were doing a TV
Pascal
series.
is playing
Pedro
Joel.
Pascal, yeah.
Yeah,
So we had a whole conversation, and we need to finish this episode pretty soon. So, or wrap the podcast, and this is probably going to be the last topic. Dan, I think the three of us had a conversation about trophies not distracting from the enjoyment of video games not too long ago, because Tom and I are both platinum completionists, and Dan, you've expressed that you have zero fucking interest in trophies for the sake of trophies. You just want to play the game.
good on him. Like
And my argument for that has always been, to me, going and getting the trophies enhances my enjoyment of a video game, generally speaking. But Last of Us 1 is one example that I can think of where chasing the trophies prevented me from enjoying sitting there and playing the game.
You need to enjoy the game first for Last of Us, especially 1. You need to enjoy the game first before you can go chase any of the trophies. They are pushing.
But it's a lot more efficient to go and get the trophies on the first playthrough.
You can't.
On the hardest difficulty. I know you can't.
You can't.
But you can open all the hacked. You can hack all the boxes or the tool sheds or whatever it is on the first playthrough and get all the collectibles. There's a lot that you can do on your first playthrough that makes it a lot easier to mop up for the platinum. And it distracted me. I was playing on nightmare difficulty, and I got through the experience of walking through apartment buildings or office blocks that had fallen down sideways. Was just incredible in terms of a storytelling experience of a post-apocalyptic world. It was brilliant.
Well, if you're talking about especially like a zombie apocalypse world, the difference between The Last of Us and Days Gone is you're talking about hundreds of zombies versus maybe 6. Like it is creeping around. In Last of Us, it is all creeping around.
Yeah, it is,
and it's really really scarce. Like in terms of your resources,
of any kind.
weapons. Whether or not you can choke people out, if you can shiv them, if you can how you can take them out. If you actually you're almost encouraged a bunch of times to actively avoid any confrontation. Days Gone is like, would you like to murder 600 zombies in one sitting? If you would like to, sir, please press X. Set these traps and please walk in.
Strap yourself in.
Yeah, and it is as Dan said in messages. It's like white knuckle fury. You're like, holy shit, I'm gonna fucking get. Oh no, I'm gonna get away. Oh no, I'm gonna dodge this guy. Oh no, I can shoot this guy. Oh no, and throw this Molotov. Oh, I got him. Oh, no. It's just a lot of that screaming into my phone.
It is probably the
Last of Us
next
is
game
nothing
I'll
like
play.
that. It's like, skip these motherfuckers. It is.
Yeah.
It's
you have to plan.
It's. And when you try and play fucking grounded mode in Last of Us, goodbye.
I have played enough.
Yeah.
I have played enough of Last of Us 1 to understand exactly what you're talking about. And there are areas after that apartment building where you've got 3 or 4 clickers that you need to kill in a certain order with a certain you need to nail timing. You need to nail the patrol cycle. You need to shiv them instead of waste ammo in order to.
I remember
hit
playing
the beats
Last
that
of Us
you need to
1
hit.
grounded mode, and I was sitting in the Boston apartment buildings, and there's a certain section where there are 5 clickers, and the clickers only can attack you when they can hear you, or they can't see you.
Yeah.
They can only hear your movements. And I literally sat there for an hour and a half trying to figure out when they were moving, and I was petrified.
order?
I was actually scared.
Yeah.
I was playing a game
Yeah.
and I was fucking scared about moving because
But that's how you know that the game is
so
brilliant,
amazing and beautiful.
they
but it
won
was
a
just
fuck ton of awards for that game.
to get around, and it took me an hour and a half to kill 5 fucking dudes because I had no resources, I had no weapons. If I started shooting, they would fucking swarm me. It's legitimately scary, actual gameplay, but you really think about how tactically you can do it for not meant to be. It's the guys who made fucking Uncharted, where their main character can't die because it's not that he doesn't get damage. They said this: the bullets just don't hit him. So the whole thing about Uncharted's damage thing,
a single Uncharted game.
no, it's just that he dodges bullets, and so it's how close they get to him is how much damage you get. So it's
I've never played an Uncharted game, and yet I watched some footage the other day, and it was 2 women playing the game, the characters in the game.
That's Lost Legacy. It's really good.
Yeah,
Where
that's
it looked very parkoury. They were climbing
that's what they are.
these Aztec mountains. And
That's Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone off topic. Yeah, but
little tidbit on The Last of Us. When me and Louise went to Peru many years ago, many years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. Whenever Last of Us, a year or two
before
before
Fukushima, that fucked your Japan trip.
A year or two before Last of Us came out, and we
it was one
stopped
of the last
off
games to come out on the PS3.
We went to, on our way back, we stopped in LA, and my cousin lives in LA, Tim.
Yep.
And Tim's telling me about, so we were obviously chatting video games and what he was working on, and he was telling me about this idea that these people had, he was working on the music at the time, and the synopsis for the game was, it was some sort of fungal zombie apocalypse where the feeder ants, or whatever they're called, that create that fungus, were infecting humans, and that's how the virus was spreading through spores and everything like that. And he was describing what the clickers looked like to me through the mushroomed heads and things like that, because he was doing the music for it. So we were sitting there in his house.
I didn't know he orchestrated that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Tim Davies. We were sitting there in his house in West Hollywood, and he was describing The Last of Us to us. And it wouldn't be for another year or two that I would actually get to play The Last of Us and walk into a room where he actually described the point to me where the first time you walk into the room and the person is sitting against the wall and the spores have grown out of their head all up the wall.
Yep.
So he described that to me, because obviously they get scenes to play the music to. So
even if they don't get game scenes, they get concept art scenes that they're going to hit in the game.
So I don't actually know whether it was a concept design or whether it was actually a screen grab that he had. But yeah, he was explaining that scene to me, and then I walked into that section, and I'm like, I know exactly what he was fucking talking about now. It's it's fucking weird, but yeah, that's my little Last of Us story.
That's awesome.
Fucking love that game. They're so good. For anyone who's shitting on The Last of Us 2, you're an idiot and go fuck yourself.
You can get fucked.
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much. I think we should wrap. We should talk about Free Guy next episode. We've got some.
Oh, well, that gives Dan a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
I'll
definitely watch it this week.
Yeah.
I'll get
it's a good movie. You and Louise will definitely enjoy it. Emma fucking loved it. So
yeah.
But yes, let's wrap.
Yeah, good popcorn movie. But yeah, no, let's wrap. And we need to get on to Borderlands 3 on Twitch. So we should talk about
Yeah,
that.
watch
after
this space. We might play some games together.
See
How
what
delightful.
happens.
We might do some co-op.
Can we crossplay? Because I'm crappy with a controller.
I don't know. I'll look into that.
I'm
But we're definitely.
pretty sure it is crossplay across 5 and 4 because it's you load the PS4.
I think he's talking
game.
about PC.
I'm talking about PC, yeah.
Oh no, get your controller out, son. You'll be right. It's Borderlands. Come on. You'll be right.
Anyway, so
I'll
I
play
think-
it. I'll play it with a controller. I'm just not going to be any good.
Oh, it's
I don't think any of
I'm
us are.
sorry. It's Borderlands. It's not the most complex of first-person shooters.
So I think
We'll be
I
fine.
think we're going to be launching our Twitch channel with some Borderlands 3 crossplays or some co-op. So keep an eye out for
I
shit
think it will
on
need
social
to be
media.
console, but yeah.
I think it will be
Yep.
too. Yeah,
no worries.
But that'll be
without our
fun.
ugly
It'll be fun.
mugs. Cool. All right.
No worries.
Well, thank you
Gentlemen,
very much.
thank you very much.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.